Welcome to the Food Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with Welcome to the Food Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Podcast with.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Full Dad Podcast. My name is Bryan.
And I'm Pete. And this week's guest is my good friend Jonathan Forgash from the illustrious Queens Together. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. This is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things we normally do when we start this when we start these episodes to our three listeners, we thank you, Abuela. We usually we have our guests just give a brief introduction about what do they do, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I was a chef for a really long time, over 30 years in New York. My company did catering for like the film studios and fashion and music and that kind of thing. Done some other things, but I think the reason I'm here and we're talking about this is that when COVID shut down New York, I started this volunteer group called Queens Together. And the idea was, from the very first days we saw our restaurant friends in Queens shutting down and, Elmhurst Hospital filling up with patients and bodies, and I couldn't sit still. I was remote from my day job, and all of a sudden at 52 or so, I am setting up Instagram pages to raise money to pay restaurants to feed people at the hospitals and then people who are home sick or dying or out of work. And it just snowballed. We have an incredible network of volunteers and restaurant partners and elected officials, and all together, we have helped feed over 500,000 people since the start of COVID, and it's really the most amazing, fulfilling, awesome thing I've ever done in my life.
That's awesome. That explains the sweater too.
Yeah, right.
I didn't get what that. I was like Queens Together. I was like, he must
Very
love
popular.
Queens.
Very popular. Good swag.
That's awesome.
And you said this came from, it's interesting because you came from kind of like a food background, and then, and then I think you sort of transitioned to like a sort of a corporate job, correct?
So in 2016, I shut down the catering company. I was just getting a little too old for it, I think. Did a couple of things. I started cooking for a producer who had stage 4 lymphoma. And then for 3 years, I found myself cooking for people with cancer and teaching at the hospitals about it. And then, of course, there really is, you can't support a family on that. And then I started doing sales and project management for a friend's pipe fabrication company. They did pipe work for like the airports and the new buildings in the city. And that's what I was doing when COVID shut down and I went remote.
And so I guess these skills that you built from like, your entrepreneurialism and I guess those like, those soft skills kind of, I guess, led you on this path to like ultimately, and your passion for food in general led you to like Queens Together, which is pretty amazing. And
so I didn't finish college.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt very lost for most of my youth. But I realized that all of the really big things in my life came from a friend or some opportunity arising, and I just sort of said yes and threw myself into it. So yeah, you would say all these soft skills. It never occurred to me that all the skills as a chef or a salesperson or setting up events would all sort of coalesce into this skill that helped me get through COVID and do the work that I did.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I remember seeing a lot of the posts, and it's amazing to see the progression from where you started and to like now. It's a pretty, you've been in some pretty big events, and I sort of followed on social media. It's amazing and inspiring.
Thank you.
How do you feel managing all those social media pages and
It feels funny. I think when people meet me, obviously my face is all over it, so they see that I'm not a kid. It is a little weird. Before COVID, it was posting on Facebook. Like, we have friends and family all over the world, so you share photos of your kid and vacations, and now it's like it's how we connect with people.
Yeah.
Like, there's a real business model to it.
And also, I think, one of the big things or themes that we discuss here are fatherhood. And I know you and I've known you for a long time. I think I met you through going to the communal playground at the building complex that we both lived at. And I know your son is older than mine, and he's in his teenage years, which has its own challenges. And but also something else that you discussed that I thought was very insightful was people. You mentioned that people from our generations, specifically sort of like Gen X, and specifically men, lacked kind of, besides parental guidance, but also sort of like an external mentorship or some kind of third party or outside of your family to mentor them, to guide you. And we sort of joked on the car ride in today that we're sort of like the lost generation. And in a sense, it's like, it is interesting that we are like, we sort of have to like blaze our own path or figure it out with very little guidance and sometimes very little support.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up, my parents are divorced. My mom went back to school. My brother and I sort of were like those latchkey kids growing up on Long Island. And I don't remember having any outside influence, like, that uncle or the family friend who's like that uncle who was doing something cool that inspired you, or that sort of disciplinarian uncle. I have a couple of friends or acquaintances who kind of grew up Midwest, Northern California, and they came up like in the 50s and 60s, so they're older. But they talk about having like these uncles like taught them how to repair a motorcycle, how to build a cabin. This guy in Northern California had a horseback ride, and how they sort of gave them some guidance, like, this is how you live your life, this is how you live, this is how you be a man, this is how you be a father. And I think I kind of just did it on my own. And now that I am a father and I do this sort of work, and I'm starting to find myself in that mentoring role to other people doing like community service work. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. Where would I be if I had, and it's not just your dad, right? Dad is different, but a mentor to like, live your life by. I can't imagine where I might be. And I think that our culture is missing that for a variety of reasons. And I think that's probably another podcast on another channel. So what would it be if people like, the three of us started, sharing and helping others on that path? I think that's kind of valuable. I think, as dads and adults and professionals, we have things to offer people. And I think it's been ignored for a really long time.
I feel that we definitely have a lot to offer. And I think sometimes you don't really realize it until you're in the situation where you're speaking to someone, you're like, I think I have good advice for them. I find myself being that sort of figure for my nephews who are like, they're like 15, 11, and 9. And it's not just me being like the sort of, hey, the cool uncle, hey, we're going to go here, we're going to go there, we're going to chill out. But I find myself now giving them advice, and I've received a ton of advice, but also being surrounded by guys like you and father figures and other people that are like wise in their years. Now I find myself like, hey, you know what you should do? I was like, appreciate that you're young, because now I feel like I'm at the age where I see kids be like, man, I wish I was 18 and I want to be able to do this. I want to drive on it. I was like, listen, appreciate your years, because you don't get them back.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we knew then what we knew now? King of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, childhood, my son just turned 11, and he has really another year of childhood. And I can see little by little that all his mannerisms and his behavior, he's sort of leaving being a child. And now he has another 60, 70 years of sort of being an adult, or sort of like, or transitioning into an adult. And that time is so short. But as a child, you probably I remember as a child also feeling like that time lasts forever.
Yes.
And you're like, and you can't wait to be out of a certain, be older or have more autonomy or whatever it is, and I can understand on some level, because your parents, and you really don't have much autonomy. You have to do what you're told.
Yeah.
It's not like you get to choose that much in your life. But also going back to what you said, something that I've realized, and just from, I think Bryan and I have had conversations with other, friends of mine, people that we know, some who are coaches, who have coached my son. But I realized that you can teach your kids a lot of things, but sometimes the role you play in their life is different. The way they see you is different, and it's easier for a third person or someone outside to teach them and guide them and give them criticism without it be taken so deeply, or really like it almost has more of an impact on them. Either if you criticize or give any correction as a parent, they're very sensitive to it. Or on the other end, they just think that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and that like you have no idea and you don't know what you're talking about. So why am I going to listen to you? So it's like you're on both ends of the spectrum, where either you're hurting them or they're hurting their feelings, or they disregard it. So yeah, I think it's you're 100% correct when you say there a third person or someone outside, whether it be an uncle, a friend, or family friend, definitely has a bigger impact. Or no, not say bigger, but definitely has a significant impact on a development for boys.
Yeah, and on the way in today, Pete and I were talking about this because my son is 16 and he's on his own
Oh.
path, and like it just kills me. I do all this work in the world, right? We all do our thing, and I just feel like I don't necessarily have that with him, and it just kills me. You mentioned being the cool uncle. My brother, so fucking cool. He's so cool, and my wife is like, you're just never going to be cool like that because you're the dad.
Yes.
And the things that you think you teach him, and like my son hasn't learned a lot from me, I don't think, but it's the non-skills. Like Pete knows early on, my son was the daredevil on the playground, and he still is, like rock climbing and sports and all these things. And so I told him early on, and I'd hammer this: don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Be good to people. Hold doors for old people. Do well in school. You do those things, and you could pretty much have whatever you want in life. And we hear from people that he really is all of that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with us. So like, oh, he did learn. He just didn't learn the things that necessarily are important to you right here and now. And I try to remember that. But yeah, I wish my son had some more uncle or mentor figures, or aunt figures, but people who have real things that he could learn from.
Yeah. It's very evident when you as a parent, you repeat all these things and then you don't feel like your kid gets it, but then when they're given instruction from another person, maybe another adult, it's like they pick it up like this. It's sort of that respect to a coach, to a teacher, to just some other figure, somebody they don't even know. And you're like, damn it, yeah, I've been trying to tell you to do this for 2 years, and someone goes and tells you, and yeah, you just like listen. So I was like, what happened to what what I've been telling you? But also I see that like some of those things you see where like your kid is people are telling you, yeah, he's kind, he's this and that, he's a good person. I feel like with my kid, and maybe this is an experience with other dads too, is like you can sort of emphasize all these things to be nice and be nice, but you don't really see it. And I feel like until like a year later, or maybe like 2 or 3 years later, where you're like, oh damn, it did stick. I was like, well, why didn't I see it immediately? And I don't know, maybe it's not something you can put into action, or you can like reap the benefit of that immediately. But yeah, I totally see, like, I would tell Zach to do something, and I'm like 2 or 3 years later, I was like, oh yeah, he's doing it. I was like, he was listening to me
Yep.
back then, but I wasn't seeing it. So I'm like, it's just frustrating at the moment.
It's like the soft skills you were talking about. It's like, or nurture over nature. Our kids learn personalities, and I think they do learn by seeing and being around us. But I don't think, at least my son, I don't feel like I really taught. Like, I'm not a sports guy.
Right.
I didn't teach him sports. I didn't teach him gamemanship, that sort of things. And I realized my father passed almost a year ago, and for the longest time, like I felt my father didn't teach me finances or some things, but I realized that, wow, I did learn a lot of soft skills from my dad. My dad was a great cook. He was a caregiver. He was funny. I don't know if I'm that funny, but a lot of those things that he was admired for, I did get that. And now I'm really grateful. And so, of course, there will probably be years and years before our sons realize that. But so it did make me realize my son is learning things from me
Yeah.
eventually.
You're like, eventually you'll see it.
I mean, maybe it's, and this is just like a thought that popped into my head. It could possibly be like because you're so close to it, it's hard to see the change because it's so incremental. It's sort of like when you see your kid every day, you sort of know, and then
Yeah,
one day,
yeah.
someone sees your kid, doesn't see them in 6 months, and like, holy shit, your kid went, has gotten so tall, and in your mind, you're like, oh yeah, he has, but you don't see that growth because it's so incremental, and you see them every day, so it's hard to see the small growth in them.
Yeah, that's
At
true.
least that's the hope. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, look, it's like you were telling me, this morning. You're like, wow, you've grown, and I was like, I mean, maybe his hair has grown, but I I haven't seen him like grown. I think the if anything, when he was gone for the summer for 2 months, he was staying with his cousins in Canada. Then I looked at him and I was like, I wonder what he's gonna be like when he comes back. And he wasn't really much different, but there were some like words that he was using, like he was like, yeah, okay, it's just like very little simple things that I noticed. But if it wasn't for that, he'd be the same kid.
yeah, that is kind of funny.
Yeah, I think.
Side note: him and his wife had 2 months vacation.
Oh,
They sent their son to Canada.
I did hear that. I did
Yeah.
hear that. Our son has gone away
oh man.
2 summers now for July. And we're like,
the entire month.
yeah, he went for the whole month,
Okay.
2 years in a row now. And 2 years ago, my wife and I did like a 21-day road trip up through Canada.
What?
Wow.
Oh,
We had
man.
the best time together. Oh my god, it was like we were dating
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
traveling every day,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for him to go away.
That's
again.
awesome. You're like,
I feel like that should be mandatory now in like all families. Your kids. I feel like me as a kid, I would go to Puerto Rico and I'd be there for the whole 2 months. I didn't have to worry about. I can't go anywhere for 2 months for that long because I'm like I gotta work.
Right.
I can only be remote for so long before I need to be back in the office. But I'm like, if any parent could get that chance where they get even a month, a few weeks off from their kids, take it and run with it, man. Because it was
100%.
great. Although I don't think I took full advantage because I was going to work earlier. I was leaving later because I didn't have to leave to go pick up Zach. And then I would just come out here and just like chill. I didn't do much. But I think that in and of itself was a sort of like vacation to me. So he's already like he's like, yeah, next summer, going back to Canada. I was like, yeah, take him, take him, please.
well, I think that also goes with like how parenting is done so much. How parenting is done so differently now. I mean, I think we're all sort of on some level helicopter parents, and where, I mean, maybe in our mind we don't think of it, but I think of like the interaction I had with with my parents, or my dad was minimal. It was like just as long as I wasn't in jail, I wasn't arrested, and my grades on my report card were good. That's all. They weren't caring about my emotional well-being, my friends, what was I doing in the street. When I was out, it was just like, all right, you're done with your homework, go away.
Yeah.
And
Go
and that
play.
could be, we've discussed before, maybe like their upbringing as well as financial constraints or like having to work or whatever it is. But it was like they had so much more, like so much less touch. And with us, I mean, my son has a cell phone now, and I can see where he is at all times. And
But you don't do that though, actually, right?
yeah, no, I do. I mean, I have notifications when he goes to school. I mean, he's only in 3 places really, either in school or home or his mom's house, or in every place else. I sort of like, I'm his chauffeur, so I bring him to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, actually, that's a lie. He actually, for the first time, asked last week if he could stay after school with his friends and hang out for a little bit. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, where are you going to be? He's like, in the playground. I'm like, okay, we can't leave the playground of the school. And of course, I looked every so often on my phone to make sure that he was still there.
1 block away.
Yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
"Wait, where are you?"
I'm like, where are you? But even when he walks, but I also get a notification, using the iPhone notifications.
Yeah.
Like the Find My feature.
Yep, the Find My.
So if he leaves school, I get a notification on my work phone. Oh, like Hunter has left this location, and I get a little ping, so I know when he leaves.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's on us because I mean, like when you really think about it, it is kind of fucking crazy the amount of like and a little probably overbearing amount of like supervision and
Surveillance.
surveillance that
Right.
we're conducting.
No one knew where we were.
No.
When we were 13, 14, out and about.
You agreed to meet at a certain location, like with your friends. It was like, hey, we're gonna meet here at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and you show up. And if you don't show up, you don't show up. You don't show up.
Yeah.
I feel like I was like, how did I get away with that? Because now I'm like, yo, listen, I'm leaving the house now. I'm on my way. I'm here.
Right.
I'm 5 minutes behind.
I'm 5. Yeah, exactly. I'm 5 minutes behind.
And then be home by dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty
was
much
it.
it.
No one,
Yeah.
the parents didn't know where we were.
And you could be anywhere. You could be up the block. You could be in like a different borough. Nobody knew as long as you were back before the sun went
right.
down.
And I think the parents were fine with that. They didn't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you came back alive.
Yeah, you're good.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, but now you just said it.
You robbed the bank.
And by the way, the trick is, if your son is a block off the playground, you don't text him and say, "What are you doing a block off the playground?" At best, you may, or worse, you do, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?"
Oh no, I know.
Because you don't want him to realize that you're tracking him.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because now all of a sudden, like then he turns off that Find My feature.
Yeah.
Wait, can they do that?
Yeah.
Okay, our son
Yeah.
doesn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But my kid doesn't have a phone, but he has a like a managed iPad, and I do keep an AirTag in his book bag because he lost his book bag once, and I was like, I want to make sure he always has it with him. So every time I drop him off and I leave, I like 10 minutes later I get hey, this item isn't with you anymore. So I'm like, yes, I know it's my kid, and I'm sure that's setting off other AirTags or people's iPhones are like, hey, you're being tracked, and it's not being tracked. They're just getting alerted by that
Right.
specific AirTag. It's a lifesaver.
I know, and and also like every kid's so different and like what they want to do, how much independence they have, how much autonomy they want.
Yeah.
Also like the level of, I mean, Hunter's like a pretty big kid, but he still gets a little nervous. I mean, he had a school dance a couple weeks ago, and there was like I guess he stayed there after school instead of coming home, and he just stayed and went to the dance, and the dance ended at like 5:30, whenever it ended, like 5:36, and the sun had gone down. And I'm like, well, are you gonna walk home, or are you gonna want me to go pick you up? And he's like, well, is it going to be dark out? I'm like, yeah, it'll be dark out. He's like, no, can you come get me? And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like, yo, he's still a little.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still shook. He's still a
Yeah.
little kid. He's like, oh, it's dark out. I'm going to walk home alone.
And just love those moments until they're gone.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because I was like, they definitely still have their innocence. At least, with my kid, and I'm sure with Hunter as well. Maybe not so much yours because now he's 16. But that level of innocence, like once it's gone, it is gone and never comes back.
And like I said, it's a short window.
It is, yeah.
It's like maybe 12, 13, and that's it.
Well, and then there's the other side of it. In 2 years, my son is leaving for college. And I am very aware, my wife thinks I'm being ridiculous, but like I've got 2 years left and I have not spent as much time with him as I want, and it kills me because of course all we want is to be like best buds
Yeah.
with our sons and daughters. And I don't feel that I have it. And of course he just wants to go off and do his thing. And I don't blame him. So did I, but it bothers me. And I'm going to be destroyed when he goes off to college.
Well, when he was younger, do you feel like it was closer? Or do you think, I mean, I feel like kids are so different. I mean, I know Leo as well. He always seemed kind of quiet.
He's a fiercely independent
Always.
kid. Always
Been like that?
Always been like that. Does his own thing, finds his own friends, joins his activities. I support all of it. This past year, the amount of times we drove out to Rockaway Beach so he can do surfing and I could sit there and watch him. I was so happy to just sit there and watch him. But on the
That's
car
awesome.
ride out, we didn't talk very much.
Yeah, he's staring at his phone, texting his friends.
No, listening to music, watching videos, whatever.
Yeah.
Learning Japanese, whatever he's doing. But we were probably closer. And it's fine, right? It's what it is, But it does upset me.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I kind of joke, like I even tell Hunter, I know you're gonna be 16 years old. I'm dropping you off. I'm like, all right, give me a kiss, give me a hug.
Yeah, exactly. No, drop me off a block away from the school.
Right.
Just do that.
Well, that's already started. I feel like in the mornings,
Yeah.
I mean, now that he's walking, he asked to walk home on his own, and so I'm like, okay, I'll let him walk home. I feel like the afternoon's a little safer for a lot of kids, and then he asked about walking in the morning, and I felt like, well, that's our time to walk together. And also, I do feel like in the mornings, I feel like people are rushing more. People are not as awake, and everyone's
Not
trying
as
to
friendly,
drop the kids
yeah.
off at school, and people just drive much shittier in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I'll still walk you, but I told him, well, I like walking you in the morning. I don't really tell him why. He's like, well, I just say, well, I want to walk with you. I want to spend more little time with you. And then we get to like a block away from the school, and he's like, okay, bye. He turns to me, he's like, okay, bye. And I'm like,
We're not even on the block.
I know.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I give him a hug, and I leave, give him a kiss, and I leave, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I drive Zach to school every day, and yeah, before I would always get like a hug and a kiss. Sometimes he may be upset because I woke him up extra early, or he just like not in the mood. But if I see him walk away, I'm like, Zachary, and he'll turn around, he'll go and he'll give me a hug, and I'm gonna do that as long as I can,
Do it.
Yeah.
because it's like, once it's kind of, they're like, yo, peace out, or I'm gonna start walking, to school, whatever the situation may be.
Yeah. 'cause
Take
I
what
know-
you can get. I mean, obviously, we all come from families like hugging and kissing. It's it's affection.
Yeah.
For the past few years, it's been more of like, even at night, hey man, good night, I love you. You usually get a good night. Less and less do you get an I love you, but it's there and it's something. You said something before about Hunter just walking or you wanting to drive. This piece of advice I got when we were on the playground, the kids were toddlers, and I read it somewhere. Someone said it that like there are these moments in your kids' lives like of separation and independence, and they said if you're lucky enough to see it, the first time on the playground that your kid sort of goes off on their own, they're gonna look over their shoulder for like either you're gonna no don't, or you're ignoring them because you're talking to some other parent or you're on your phone, or you'll see them and you kind of just sort of like go ahead.
Yeah.
And I saw that happen with my kid, and
That's awesome.
I was just like, yeah man, go off and be independent.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because now that he's older and he started staying out, and I admit we totally tracked him, on the phone, because the first time you realize he's on the 7 train heading to wherever, and you're like, well, actually, that's why we stayed in the city. That's why we're here. I think we wanted independent, mature, world savvy New York City kids.
Yeah.
So we got it, and I really try to. We have always encouraged that with him, no matter how nervous it might make me. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be bad like before iPhones.
Oh my God, I know, right?
You couldn't track or anything. But I do think like that's an important thing. Like, you got this. We're here. But like, go.
Yeah.
If
If
you can manage that.
it definitely instills some level of confidence in them to be able to, like, you know what, I do got this.
Yeah.
I can make it out. And the moment they do it once,
Right.
they go somewhere and make it back safe. They're like, okay, all right, I could do it again. And it's just like, and it keeps going from there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So okay. So you can relate to this. So my son's on the table tennis team, right? And they're going from Astoria up into the Bronx to play some school, and it's Friday, after school, and like, okay, it's 6:00, and they're on 125th Street,
2-5.
right? And you're like, wow, where are they? You realize they're at a climbing gym at 125th. My son roped his buddies into going rock climbing,
Oh shit.
bouldering, and then they're like outside of that place, and now they're like at some place called like Dave's Nashville Fried Chicken, and they're hanging out up in Harlem Friday night, and you're like, damn, like this is kind of awesome. Like, oh my God, my son is doing exactly what we wanted. He's got his little buddies, and they're off doing their thing, and they're totally confident. On the other hand, I think back like, wow, that would be like 1983 for me when I was 16, and I can't imagine being up in Harlem.
Yeah.
Like things change, right? And but like this is exactly what you hope for. So shut up and let him do his thing and be really proud. And I try to hold on to that as much as possible.
Does your son stay in touch with you when he goes out? And is it more you in touch with him, or is like he?
No, he's not in touch with us.
No, he's just like, yo, I'm out. I'll see you later.
He's
my bed warm.
confident. He's got his buddies,
Okay.
and like they are out exploring the city. And then you have proud moments of, hey, so where'd you go? Oh, some of the guys went to Chipotle, but I convinced some of the guys to come with me for like, Chinatown or for a fried chicken place, like, so like, he's taking control and he's doing his thing.
Do you know like some of his friends on like on a sort of personal level where like you feel like these are good kids, or they'll
He doesn't have a lot, like he doesn't have a huge posse of friends, like I did growing up. He doesn't suffer fools. He's picky and choosy. He's got a really tight group of like smart kids, good kids, I would say, good boys. And he's not necessarily the ringleader, but yeah, I trust him more than I would have trusted myself back then. I trust him a lot. He's a smart kid. He's a good kid. I just wish he wanted to hang more with me.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll change. I mean, I think that's probably the the cycle of that we all sort of went through. Like you're a child with your parents, you're like attached to the hip, and then you kind of go off on your own. And then there's that point where I think they'll come back. I kind of
Like 35, 40. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
maybe,
when
who
you're
knows?
decrepit
Yeah.
and you're like,
Exactly.
Is that you want to go like skating? I feel like it's that phase where that teenager they separate from you, and then maybe as an adult you get to do other adult type activities. One of the things I was looking forward to doing with Zachary is archery. So there's a place where it's I think it's called Gotham Archery in downtown Brooklyn. You have to be 10 in order to do it. So I was gonna take him, for his 10th birthday and take a couple of kids. Super expensive. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna cancel that. But I'm looking forward to taking him, just me and him, to go out there and be like shooting arrows. I'm like, you love The Legend of Zelda, you love those video games where they're shooting arrows and all the time. Let's go on it. Let's do that. Let's do like a little buddy thing. Pops and
That's
and
pretty
kids.
awesome.
Yeah.
There's another one, by the way, out in Murray Hill, Flushing area.
Oh, cool.
Pretty big, not expensive.
Yeah,
And we did
Okay.
that for a little while. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
that's awesome. All right, these are the type of activities I'm looking for. Now I'm like, listen, you're no longer single digit kid. Now you're double digits until whatever the day you die, or you reach a centennial. You're 100 or 101. Who knows? I won't be around that time, but but hopefully you will.
Yeah.
But now I feel like, all right, let's start doing other things. Let's start exploring what else you're interested in.
I can't wait for the soccer stadium to be finished by City Field.
Oh yeah.
My son loves soccer. I can't wait to get some tickets and go with him. He won't go with me to a Mets game. I am not a big sports guy, but I have become a Mets fan over the past few years, and he has no interest. As far as he's concerned, they are the fattest, laziest sports
Of all
category.
the athletes.
Yeah. It's like
Well,
you don't
but
see
that's
soccer
fine.
players looking like,
Absolutely
Some
not. There's
outfielder.
no way.
no.
You see those calves? The joint-
Yeah.
the calves have abs. Yeah, it's Zach. Zach is now much more of a Mets fan because my brother-in-law was a hardcore Mets fan since he was a kid, and he's always been telling he's like, yo, Mets all the way. I'm more of a Yankees fan, but I'm okay that he likes. I'm like, it's a New York team. I'm fine with it. Your brother-in-law loves it. The rest of your family loves it. I'm cool with that.
Good for you.
Like, okay, good luck.
Well, the Mets just got who they signed.
They got Juan Soto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy deal that everyone's been talking about. Some
like 700 million.
765
Something.
million.
some astronomical number.
Oh,
It's like the highest in all of baseball history.
could you imagine? I mean, that's fuck you money. I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy money.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
I was like, you better be jumping 60 feet in the air.
Can't wait. I hear the tickets have gone up for opening day already.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, good for the Mets.
yeah,
Yeah.
they need it. It's rough. It's rough out there for them.
So growing up, did you have like what were your parents like? You said it was kind of hands off. You kind of just did your thing.
I mean, my parents were definitely on the hippie, dippier
Mm.
New York, parent side. But, like I said, parents divorced early. So my parents, like typical, right? Born and raised in Brooklyn, the big apartment block. They got married. Oh, we're going to move out to Long Island, the good life. My father hated it. And, he was commuting like an hour and a half, 2 hours each way. And this is back in the 70s, from Smithtown, Long Island into the village in Manhattan for his office. And I'm sure they divorced for a number of reasons, but he definitely attributed the time. He's like, why do we move out to the suburbs when I see my family less? And it's such a bigger commitment. And so, that definitely hands off. My mom went back to school and, started her own career. So we definitely had very loving parents. Both my parents were there. If I got in trouble in school, my father drove out from the city to be there that Tuesday evening so they both gave me the talk. And when you see your father driving out from the city,
Hell yeah.
and it's like you're in trouble,
hard.
So as far as I'm concerned, they were very loving as much as they could. But of course, you wish you had more. I think every kid has some faults they find with their parents, and they want more, no matter how much the parents tried.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately we're humans as well. It's like your parents. Everyone's human, and one of the things I think that I've kind of realized is that you do the best that you can with the tools you have, and I think
Yeah.
that's most people.
That's true. Well, you did talk before about your dad,
Mm-hmm.
would you give him the same pass? Like he did the best he could with the tools he had for you?
I'm trying to. I think. I think my dad. I think was less than ideal father, but I'm trying to. I mean, I think I've made peace with a lot of it, but I'm trying to really wholeheartedly make peace with it. And I think that's one of the things where um, I really thought about years ago, especially when Hunter was first born,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought to myself, one, the irony is that when me and Julie first started, my ex were together, I was unsure if I really wanted children. I really was on the fence because I felt genuinely, because of my childhood, that I'd be a fucking horrible parent, and I was sort of fucked up in the head. Um, and I was really scared about kind of giving a child, I don't want to say shitty, but lack of a better word, kind of a shitty childhood that I had. Um, but now that, but once I did have a son, or a child, I realized that I had to sort of make peace with that part, that feeling of anger, resentment towards my father, because I always felt like somehow if I didn't, that I would pass on a lot of the same shit that I had. And truth be told, chances are I already have passed on some of my bullshit to Hunter. Um, but I suspect that it probably would have been a lot more if I wouldn't have kind of come to terms and made peace with my father.
That's a
Good
good
for
point.
you.
Yeah.
It's
But
tough.
I try to give my own dad the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I can't imagine. It's tough for me raising one child, but I'm the oldest of four, so three
Wow.
boys and a girl. That's a lot. Especially my dad was the only one that worked. My mom was a stay-at-home wife. She worked in Puerto Rico, but when they came to New York with the two of us at the time, we had two more after. She never worked after that. So it was my father working from here to there. My father, he dealt with a lot. It's our family. He had his own demons. He had to deal with drugs and alcoholism and a bunch of things. And sort of that, and that was sort of, it was him growing up. That was what he was surrounded by. So it took him a long time, a really long time. And I think he's mellowed out over the years. But I'm like, I know my father has told me multiple times. He's like, listen, I try to do the best I can for you guys. But it's not easy raising four kids in Brooklyn. Moving from here to there, being in the shelter system. I grew up in the shelter system for many years. Now I can talk to him, and he's a little more calmer. Definitely has a lot of anger issues. He's, like I said, he's mellowed out for the most part. But I can see some of that, like some of that has passed down to me, and I've passed some of that sort of anger, and I can see myself sort of in that same like angry state, but I'm able to catch myself much sooner, and I'm like, okay, I gotta like think about this. And I think that's the biggest opportunity we have is sort of catching ourselves and realizing what we're doing before it becomes sort of like that trait and what you're known for. My father's really known for his mouth, and I definitely don't want to get known for that.
I think you joked about it. Like he was known, you say griton.
El gritón,
Griton means
bocón,
like,
yeah,
and I'm not
What
sure.
is that?
So a gritar is like to scream,
Yeah.
or like a yeller. So if you say someone's a griton, it's like, yeah, like that person's like a yeller, or
yeah. He's like always yelling, like unnecessarily loud or angry for like any and every situation, to the point where we make jokes about it. And my good friends know him and they've heard him. Evelyn makes a joke where it's I think she slept over our house one day, and that was at the time I was like living with my parents. We had just gotten to know each other. She slept over once, and the first thing she heard in the morning was my father's mouth, and she woke up terrified.
Wow.
She was like, "What is going on?"
Welcome to the family.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to that was the translation for that was good morning, But I mean, we joke about it now, but we I think there's a level of understanding that he went through his own shit, and I don't talk to him much about it, but I know that now we're able to have a more easier conversation. We're chill. We still communicate. We text. Sometimes I'm on the phone with him for an hour or two, and that to me is is huge because back as a teenager, I don't think we would have we didn't speak a lot, and we would definitely wouldn't have spoken on the phone for that long.
That's really great. My father definitely passed with us still having a wall between us. And at this point, I would say it was more my fault. I just never was able to break through that wall and just sort of rekindle or build a relationship like that. And I'll always regret it. I hope, my son and I don't have that.
Yeah.
But, good for you.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough, but I'm glad I still have both my parents. They're still together. And I appreciate, everything they did for me. Raising 4 kids. So, as a parent, as a dad, I want that. Like, I want I want no wall between me and my kid. And I've told them multiple times, like, listen, if you got to talk to me, you got to talk to me. I'd rather if something bad happens, I'd rather you be like, oh shit, I got to talk to my dad, as opposed to, oh shit, I'm going to be in super big trouble when, if I tell my dad or if I tell my parents.
I think that's one of the things I'm wrestling with. Like, I can see, as a father, I mean, I guess because of the living situation, Hunter spends, excuse me, for the past couple of years more time with me, than his mom. But I can see when he talks with her, especially on the phone, he talks to her at nighttime, he talks on the phone, he has more of a conversation with her and they talk more. And with me, it's more like I'll try to talk with him, but it's just more like these one-worded answers, or it's not really, it's not really a conversation. It's just me and him. Once in a while, he'll tell me things, and there's times I kind of envy that, but also I do wonder if, because of course I know I kind of deal with my own anger issues, and he's like, all right, this guy is like, going to flip out on me, or going to be angry if I fuck up, or make a mistake or do something, and so I think that's what I'm trying to hopefully work on, so I could transition with him and have a different dynamic. But who knows if too little too late, but I figure I'll just try and see where we land. But ultimately I feel I'm hopeful, and my overarching goal is that he's become like a good, decent person who finds something and just works hard at whatever he does. I tell him all the time, I don't care if you're a fucking millionaire. I don't care if you don't have to be a doctor, whatever. Just, you have to work hard at whatever you do. Don't be fucking lazy.
I'm pretty sure he got that from you. He'll be fine with that.
We'll see. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Right.
But, but it's also like, you also battle with the nature versus nurture thing where you never know. I feel like there's one of my biggest concerns with, especially now, I think with him is like, I've been reading about this video game addiction, which is kind of like a new thing that is cropping up, and it's really becoming more prevalent, and I see it in in social media a lot more, or other discussions from other parents, this addiction to like Roblox and Fortnite, and how it's really severe. And I see a lot of addictive personalities, or like addict traits in my son with video games, with YouTube on his phone. And my biggest fear is like that he will, because we all know growing up in New York, drugs are readily available, especially as teenagers. And I know plenty of people who, I experimented with drugs when I was a teenager. Luckily, nothing ever got its hooks in me, but I have a lot of friends who are not so lucky, and to this day still battle alcohol, still battle drug addiction. People who have died, or people who have gone to jail, people who have have really fucked up their lives, and some have made it out, and others have not. And my fear is that because I see these traits in something as, it seems innocuous, it seems like, whatever, like video games or Roblox or doom scrolling on a phone, but I can see the addiction. It's like, oh, stop doing that, put that away. Okay, after this, one more minute. And then they put it away and they go looking for it again. And it becomes kind of like a fiend looking for like a fucking crack rock, or looking for like
a needle.
Yeah, a needle or something. It's like the next hit of the drug that they're partaking in. And that's my fear, is that that when he reaches his teenage years, he's gonna smoke weed. Smoke weed, whatever, or like try heroin, try something, try
Yeah.
something, and it's gonna fuck him up, because I can already see these little personality traits that he might be more inclined to addiction.
Yeah, I see it when they're like, you know what the thing is like there's access to all this content in so many different ways. It's like the TV has apps, the Switch has apps, the phone has apps. Like everywhere you look, this damn monitor has apps. So I'm over here, I'm blocking the internet on this device, on this device, and this device, but they don't know what to do. They can't stand still. I feel like with Zach, it's like he needs to be able to he needs to have something in his hand or needs to be watching some sort of media. I'm like, just sit down and relax. But I think his mind is also moving at a million miles per minute, and that could be because of his ADHD, most likely. But I can see how totally see that addiction being in some kids. Even my nephews who were just here yesterday, I was like, you got to put the phone down. I was like, we're watching a movie, we're eating. They're like eating and watching, and they're like this. And I'm just like, just put the phone down. You don't need to entertain yourself. And they're always looking for that entertainment.
And they'll put it down for a minute, and then without even thinking, it's like they pick it up again and start looking.
Yeah, they start looking for it.
But don't we adults do the same thing? I mean, I notice how bad I can be. Like I don't read a book anymore. I read on my phone, my Kindle. Love reading, but I'll notice that I'm sort of all of it. I don't even notice it. I'm off of my book, and I'm on social media. I'm on the news. I'm texting with somebody. It's bad, and I'm going to tie this back to COVID. So, my son started 7th grade with COVID. I mean, with the pandemic starting up.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of us parents were very grateful for the fact that you could be doing Fortnite or whatever, but with your friends in real time. And I think it became like, oh, thank God our kids have a way to be with their friends in the moment. And so we started to rely on it. And even then we were all acknowledging, what are we creating here? What kind of addiction are we creating? And it is there. But then you also combined it with the thing of, holy shit, our kids are really fragile. This is the worst pandemic in 100 years. And I don't want to rock the boat. And are they going to be okay? There weren't enough, child therapists to go around. There still aren't. It's that's a pandemic in its own right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the right word, but so now how do you get your kids off of it? And are they still fragile? And what do you do if you cut them off because they're not used to in-person interactions? That's seems to be a common worry with parents with kids our age.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do about it.
That's a tough one. It's very difficult to go back to just communicating in person when you have that accessibility. And you're like, oh yeah, I can just call my friend. I don't need to meet him. We could just sometimes they're in the car and they're playing together, but they're on separate devices, all playing together, which is cool. But I'm like, if you're here together all day doing that instead of communicate, I was like, talk to each other. I feel like it's dangerous. And yes, I can say I think in a way we are also addicted to it. I mean, maybe my attention span isn't there anymore where I'm on my phone and I'll switch, to the computer, maybe to the TV. Maybe I am in the same boat. But I think I have I have a different level of control as opposed to kids.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also, do kids really, I mean, I don't remember actually sitting there and facing my cousin and talking with him. No, you're out doing stuff together.
Yeah.
So get out of the house, go do something.
Yeah. That's why there's a rec center nearby, and we took them to play basketball for an hour, which was cool. And then they were there swimming for 3 hours. I was like, they can swim all day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then they come back and they're exhausted.
They're exhausted. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're exhausted. They want to eat. So it's a lot of food. Yeah.
But now that I realize when I see Hunter's behavior and I see even other people, I become more mindful of the amount of time I spend on my phone. And I realize now that just sometimes I just put it away.
Yeah.
And I think initially I become more mindful of it. And now there's times that I will purposely put my phone down or in the room and then leave it and go to my desk or whatever it is. And I'm like, all right, someone has to communicate with me. They, if it's work related, they'll ping me on Teams. They'll send me an email.
Yeah.
I'll be all right. If I hear my phone ringing, of course, someone's calling me, then I can walk and get it. But I have done it. I was it started just me doing it on purpose, but now I realize I do it so much that I spend at least 10 times a day asking Google, call my phone, because I forgot where I put it down. So I feel
That's a
like
good problem.
Yeah, but I realized that like I had to be more mindful of it, and it came from seeing other people, or
Yeah.
like interacting with my significant other, or or Hunter, and seeing them, and on some level, I don't. This might not be the right word, but it's almost like feeling a little like grossed out by it or disgust. It's like sometimes when I was that happened to me when I would see. If I'm going out with all my friends, and let's say normally we're all drinking or doing whatever, and then if you're the only sober one and everyone is wasted, and then you're like, ugh, these people are fucking annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you start realizing you're like, wait, is that how I am? And then you're like, fuck that. I don't want to, I don't want to be that
Yeah.
sloppy drunk. And it makes you start realizing, oh no, that's not what I want to be.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing it around you is always the best mirror, right?
Because it's hard to look at yourself when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I'm doing this because I need work or this or that or whatever. And in your mind, you almost like rationalize it and why you do it.
You justify it. Yeah.
Right.
But when you see someone else do it and you're like grossed out by it, you're like, oh, I don't want to be that.
That's
What
true.
is it
Like,
that the things that annoy you most about your friends are the things you hate most about yourself?
Yes, definitely.
I just hate when you realize that because, God damn it, I'm annoying. My poor wife.
oh my God, condolences.
I'll tell her.
But yeah, I mean, well, I meant to also ask you this: I know you said with Leo, he's a little kind of like maybe distant, or does he interact with Jennifer more, or is it just same thing, just kind of like, nah?
I feel like he talks to her more. Also my wife is a math teacher, so she's helpful. I also know that I have my own issues around, communicating with people. And I feel it really shows up with him. No, of course, I think he talks to her more than me.
Yeah.
But, he annoys her in other ways. I mean, all I want is to have a better relationship. If you can help me with that, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. Call this number, 1-800.
Right. I know. I'm like, oof. I think ultimately, I think that's what all parents, specifically dads, a lot of dads, at least I've spoken with, face very similar problems.
Yeah.
And then we've had this conversation with other dads, and sometimes I think to myself, is it because of how we grew up, or the way? And when I say it, it's gonna sound like, woe is me, but the expectations that are put on men in the world, and the level of, and this has been, I mean, I said it, I feel like 1,000 times, or maybe not 1,000, but almost every single podcast we've recorded, that men are not really supposed to feel anything. Like, you can't really show your emotions as a man, and it's okay. If you're aggressive, if you're angry, that's cool. All right, boys are gonna fight. But if you're crying, if you're upset, or if you're sad, or even if something's like, hurts you, you're not really allowed to show that, because it diminishes you, it makes you weak. So in essence, you end up internalizing everything. So then in essence, it also makes you, the consequence of that is you're not really able to communicate, and you're not really able to, you don't feel safe opening up or sharing, really like, emotional conversation, or having deep conversations with the fear, because men are not really supposed to act like that or interact like that.
So I came from a very, very different background. New York City, Jewish, very huggy, feely. The men hugged and kissed. And,
Oh, even your dad, okay.
oh yeah, but I think that we are all our parents, the good and the bad. And for everything I just said about the way my family and the men are, like, there was definitely some distance. And so yeah, like the not great relationship I had with my mom, being the single parent at home, and the rebellion and the anger and the like, I think the problems I have with my son are the same problems that I had with my mom. So should I really be surprised that I've become that? And if she's listening, I hope she's enjoying this of reflection, because it's true. I'm 57, and to this day I will call my mom and be like, I'm such a dick. I'm so sorry. And she'll be like, oh, what did Leo do now? And I'm like, it's the same thing. We are our parents, and I think that's what we hate most. We're going to be so much cooler, we can afford to do more.
Yeah.
No, man, those problems are always there in some way, shape, or form. There are no perfect families. All the families that I grew up around whose parents weren't divorced and, it looks like some Hallmark scene. No, man, everyone's got their own shit.
No, I
Very deep,
100%.
So I think the takeaway is like, no, we are trying and we are doing better. It does help to have people around to call you on your shit. Thank you, my wife. Even this morning, some stuff we were taking care of. She's like, you really can be a jerk about this or that. She didn't say that, but that's how I took it. And she's right. And so that's what I was texting before we started our shows. I love you. I'm sorry. You're 100% right. And that's that's part of the guy thing, I think, is to be able to admit when you're wrong. I mean, I tell my wife all the time when she addresses our son as like that mom teacher, like, you got to stop going down the rabbit hole. Stop drilling down like he got it. Every adult man is that same little boy that hated being reprimanded or told they were wrong. We got it. Let it go.
Yeah.
But I think the key is to like learn to admit, like, she's 100% right. And I better listen to her because that's what everybody else probably sees too.
That's definitely something I struggled with and still struggling with now. But I feel so much better about it when I'm like, damn, I was wrong. And it was like, and I have to get that apology out there and sort of not beg for forgiveness, but I'm like, if I do something wrong with my son, I'm like, I hope you can forgive me. I'm really sorry that I did this. I spoke to you this, I screamed at you, whatever. And more often than not, he's like, Daddy, I forgive you. I forgive you. It's fine. But just getting to that point is super difficult because I have to admit I was wrong. And that's not an easy thing for me to do personally, And
not only that, but it's not just you knowing it. And I don't know about our kids because they hear what we're saying. They'll store it away. But like your significant other, like, yeah, they want to hear that you're admitting you were wrong.
Yeah,
that's really important.
Yeah.
Admitting you're wrong. You didn't know. You did the wrong thing. You fucked up.
Yeah,
they really want to hear it because they probably also aren't happy telling you that you're being wrong. You have to acknowledge that other person because my wife 100% makes me a better human being.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that I have her.
That's awesome.
I'm going to give this to her as her Hanukkah present.
The soundbite.
The recording.
The soundbite right here.
Just the highlights. The I love you, honey highlights.
That's hilarious.
There could be like a little bell we ding every time we admit that we're wrong and they're right. And then like Jonathan racked up 14 dings today.
That's good. You're good for the year now.
Right.
You've made up for the whole year.
The winter.
No, it's a difficult thing to do, man. And your pride stands in the way. And you're like, no, fuck that. I'm not apologizing. I was right. And then you're like, damn, no, I was wrong. I have to get it out there before it's too late. Because you're right. Kids won't like they'll take that in and they'll store it. And you don't really know what they're capturing, but I feel like with my own kid, he's definitely capturing a lot because he's told me once before. He's like, why are you so mean? He's like, why are you being so mean to me? And that killed me. That was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I guess I was being mean. And I was like, yo, I'm so fucked up. I'm like, I'm such a bad dad,
No, you're not. I mean, like you raised your kid to be able to say that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
You should really take that in. Like, that's a good kid you raised.
Yeah. I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just listening. I'm like, I'm trying to process everything. I was like, it's a lot. I feel like there's times we discuss these things and it becomes like you start getting your brain. Now I'm start like replaying all these scenes with Hunter and replaying scenes with like, like things I've done. Cause I think the sad part is that as much as we hate it, at some point, there's certain points where you act just like your parents.
Yeah.
All the time.
And then, and you feel guilty, you feel bad. And even the stuff that I'm sure there's things that now you understand as a parent that was the right thing for them to do, but also things that was the wrong thing for them to do. And you end up doing sort of at some certain times, both.
Yeah.
And
you become your parent in some sort of way. You're like a 2.0 with minor adjustments. 2.0.1 with the footnote is like, I could laugh more, something like that, or more pleasant. But I see I see a lot of traits from both my parents. And I try to like focus in and hone in on the best ones. But I know that eventually some of it, some of the bad stuff comes out, and I try not to kill myself over it. But I'm like, all right, I need to be better. I need to I need to apologize. I need to I need to acknowledge what I did wrong and work on that. I'm just always work on it. I'm never gonna be perfect. No one is perfect, and that's something we've taught Zachary. And he's repeated that to us. He's like, don't worry, I forgive you. No one's perfect. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Do you feel that you learned things from your parents or you inherited traits, good and bad, from your parents? I feel more like I was talking about my father before, that for everything I was down on him about, he had his faults and he had his problems. But like, no, I think that the best things in my life that I do, I have to attribute to both of my parents' traits. Like I said, my mom is a therapist. My father was a chiropractor, nutritionist, caregiver. Both love to cook. Both love the world. Both love New York City. Both love the diversity of people. They both cherished having like people around them. I'm like, I got that from somewhere.
Yeah.
I got that from them. And that makes me feel really good, especially when I think about my dad. But yeah, so do you feel the same?
I do. I inherit maybe a strong word. Definitely learned, because my mom is very pleasant. My mom is a very just happy person in general. And my father has had these my father's had anger issues for a long time. And like I said before, he's mellowed out right now. But I've definitely I react sometimes to certain situations, and I'm like, that's my dad. I was like that immediately. I'm like, that's my dad. And other situations and it's more so my dad, because when you're a pleasant person, you're just like happy and you're like okay with things. You made a mistake, that's fine, that's cool. And that's my mom's side. Being stronger is probably my dad's side. But all of that I feel like I've learned from my parents. It's like a direct reflection of the way my parents treated me.
But is it learned, or like you have the same, inborn traits?
I mean,
Or reinforced because you heard it?
I think for me, it's probably a mixture of both. I think inherited
could
and
be, yeah.
learned.
And isn't it interesting that mostly we just see the negative things we picked up,
yeah, that's what tends to stick out more.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's with most people. I feel like most people we focus on. I guess we're all sort of very self-critical of ourselves, more so than anyone else in the world. And so I think in general, for me at least, I think, and I could be wrong, I feel like most people tend to focus on the negative things. So I feel like you could hear 50 compliments and one person says something, some negative comment, and that's what you hone in on. It's like, oh, that one person said this, and that's what, for me, something will happen or whatever, and then it'll be one negative thing, and that's what, for days I'm thinking about, fuck, I fucked up, or
Yeah.
and not really focus on the 10 other things that were positive.
All right, so that brings up one of my favorite topics, which is the whole idea of fraud syndrome, imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah,
And that it's like we're all waiting for that one little nugget of criticism to just prove
exactly.
how I really am a fraud or
Yeah.
an imposter.
100%.
It is such a horrible trait
Yeah.
that we all have. I assume, I have it worse than most, but it pops up all the time. Look at the things we've done in our lives, and really it takes so little to have those cards just tumble down.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, that's really what undermines a lot of, at least for me, a lot of my own self-confidence and my own self-worth is that feeling that I'm just faking it. One day someone's going to see through all my bullshit and they're going to know that I'm totally full of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that I'm just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
Listen, I made coquito last year for my job, and then it was pretty good. I got a lot of compliments, and then I was on the phone with HR, and HR didn't realize I had made it, and I was like, "Did you have some of the coquito?" And she's like, "Yeah, but it wasn't too strong," and I was like, "Fuck this coquito business."
I quit.
You're like, that's
I was like, and out of all people, HR, yeah, I was like, "Thank you, HR." Confidence went to shit.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. So the
hilarious.
same thing. So like I said, I was a chef for a really long time, right? I've cooked. I was in the film business. I've cooked for like the biggest celebrities, whoever. Yet I am more nervous cooking for friends and family because they're going to really see that. Who's he kidding? He's not a
Yeah,
chef.
exactly.
And it's. I mean, that's absurd. That's just absurd that I feel that way as an adult.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just being honest. Like, I still feel more pressure to cook for friends and family, not just because they're more important,
Right.
but because like, it's like showing people who you really are.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, side note, not to like blow smoke up your ass, but I haven't really had.
Please go ahead.
Had like an insane amount of your food. But I have to say, the one year that you had like a little holiday gathering and you made pernil roasted pork, it might have been some of the best pernil I've ever had ever.
Not made by a Puerto Rican.
Wow, I'm not a Puerto Rican, and please say what your background is.
Yeah, and I'm Chinese and Puerto Rican.
Oh my God, I'm so proud right now. Thank
and
you
it
so
was
much.
fucking even like the skin, because sometimes you have pernil and the skin gets leathery.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
hate that kind of
Yep.
When you can stretch it out and you have to be able to scrape the knife and it goes.
yeah,
Right.
It
That's
has to be
great.
crunchy. Sometimes you get it and it's hard, but it's not in a way that's pleasant to bite through. It's almost like a really hard leather.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not crunchy. It's not crispy. I was like, but yours was crispy. And
Oh
it
my
was
God,
like,
that
and
is
it
the
was
greatest
scored. I was
compliment.
like, holy
That's
shit,
amazing.
this is good.
I grew up with one of my mom's best friends was another therapist, Monsi from Puerto Rico, and so for the Jewish holidays they would come to us, and we would go to her for like Easter and Christmas. And Christmas, you walk in the house, you're like, oh my God, what's that? It's pork and garlic and vinegar. She's I marinated the pernil for like 2 days in a garbage
Yeah.
bag in the closet. How is a chef that's even remotely legal?
Yeah.
I have no idea. But she taught us. So
But it works.
yeah, so pernil is 2 dishes.
Mm-hmm.
There's the pork,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the chicharron that she would serve as an appetizer. She would walk it around so everyone got one little square,
Yeah.
not 2,
Mm-hmm.
because it has to go around. But like chicharron is a distinct dish.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, so why is it leathery? Do you know? What
I don't know.
Okay. So I'm not Puerto Rican,
Mm-hmm.
but from what I've gathered is has to be really dry,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you salt it and you marinate it, but you really make sure it's dry before it goes in the oven. 2, you have to poke holes in it
Mm-hmm.
so the fat bubbles up and renders through, or else you can just get like that leathery, hard and chewy or flabby, rubbery skin.
Yeah.
You have to give it a lot of respect because, like, really, like a good Puerto Rican, or to be fair, Dominican, because
Yeah.
I know
No,
that's a
Dominican.
separate culture.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is Dominican. Yeah.
What?
My wife is Dominican.
Okay,
She's not here.
and I've learned being a New Yorker that don't fuck that up. There is a distinction between those two
Big
cultures.
distinction.
That's how you get shot.
As much as us Jews
Or
think like,
stabbed.
oh, it tastes,
Yeah.
tastes the same.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like that's an important dish.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny is that like for years I made pernil and sometimes the skin would come out leathery,
Right.
but then luckily because I'm Chinese, I realized when the Chinese do the roast pig, they have that little tool that they stab
Yeah.
the skin.
yeah.
And it's like it's like a bunch of looks like nails in essence. It's on a wooden handle, and they stab it. And I was like, I started doing that, and that changed up the game. But I don't think a lot of Puerto Ricans are aware of that.
Probably not.
That tool. So I'm like, how?
Because the way they've done it has always worked out, especially when you have the cajachina.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
By the way,
whole
don't ever give that to a friend for a wedding present. So my friends got married. They have a nice house in the Hamptons, so that he likes to grill and everything. So my brother and I and our wives, we got him like, that
I always
Miami,
wanted
the
that.
pine box,
Yep.
metal line cajachina. And my friend's wife is like, you give us a baby coffin? And I'm like, okay, I can see, I didn't see that, but I see that. But trust me, this is amazing. But yeah, and then the other trick I learned was you take the pork out of the oven and you put it like on a metal rack over a pan, a hotel pan, and you ladle over.
Hot oil.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's like when you go to the
sizzles.
place on 116th Street and
Yeah,
they just
that-
throw it.
That
That
place
place.
that we went to, oh, it was so
Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah.
We went to, so I thought, I'm not sure if you found it or I found it. We went to this place called La Reina de Chicharrón
Okay.
in the Heights. And
It doesn't smell healthy when you walk
no,
in. Just
but it was so fucking good. But it was like, all they really sell there is chicharron.
Oh yeah,
And like
that's
rice,
a
beans,
specialty?
plátanos, tostones, shit
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But that's really what. So it was me. It was me, Jonathan, Hunter.
Oh no, that was the place in Washington Heights we went to.
Yeah.
That was different. There's a
Okay.
place on 116 between like Park and Lex. You know, you're heading east to go back to the
The
bridge.
cuchifrito spot. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, south side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
So famous. Like you walk in, you just smell like. Did they ever clean this oil? But who cares? Because look at those chicharron chunks of it.
Is it La Isla?
That's right. We went to that famous grandma restaurant. We sat at that little counter.
Yeah.
But that was Dominican, I
That
think.
was Dominican.
And-
I think La Isla is what you might be.
La Isla Cuchifritos.
Yeah, yeah.
Puerto
Where's that
Rican.
one? Is
La
that the one we're
Isla?
talking about?
La Isla, because
Yeah.
they used to have one on Graham Avenue.
And Graham.
Yeah, and Graham.
Graham?
That's how they
Where's
say it.
that?
So that's in Brooklyn. We used to work together at a place in Bed-Stuy, and there was a place called La Isla, which I think might still be there. Or did they close? But there's a couple of them.
Isn't there one like in the Lower East Side or Lower Soho?
I know there's one on Graham. There's one on Broadway.
There's on Broadway closer to Marcy.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was another
corner.
one in Spanish Harlem on like 116.
Oh my God,
115.
that food is
Yeah.
okay. So would I be thrown out of here if I said that I think Dominican rice and beans or the beans are better? I don't know if it's the amount of lard or the overcooking. But oh my God, you know,
You know what it is, and I don't know if this is a me thing or if this is a Puerto Rican and Dominican thing. Dominicans will have like rice and pigeon peas, right? Rice and beans. Oh, rice and pigeon. Let's just say rice and peas, and then they'll throw habichuelas. Then they'll throw like the habichuelas on top of that.
Dominicans do that.
what is
Dominicans
that?
doing
What
that.
is that
Really?
word?
Habichuelas.
Which is
So
Habichuelas are
habichuelas like
the red beans.
the
like
red
beans.
what are they called? Red
pinto beans or red kidney beans.
red kidney
okay,
beans. There
so
you go.
The kidney beans or the pinto beans. I forget what. It doesn't have rice in it. It's just the.
Just the beans.
It's just the
just
beans in
beans.
like the sauce.
Oh my God,
the
that
other one is the arroz con gandules.
the creaminess,
Yes.
fat, like those are perfect.
Yep.
You know, that and just whatever the sauce is, you know, whatever your go-to garlic.
Oh my God.
the mojo.
The
mojo.
mojo. Now we're on ground. I'm very comfortable. The importance of food and family. So when I was working with this guy with cancer, he was a producer on the TV show I'd been working on. So I was with him, I think, for 2, maybe 3 seasons. And, you know, he usually goes back to the West Coast, you know, really, really big guy. And he calls, he's like, you know, or his assistant called, you know, my boss stayed in New York. He's got lymphoma. He's getting a stem cell transplant. You know, he wants you to come talk to him. And I go to talk to him. And I said, like, well, why am I here? Like, I am not a dietitian. Like, I can't imagine what it takes to cook for someone, you know, with cancer like that. And he says, if I follow the diet they gave me at Sloan Kettering, I'm dead. I've already lost like 30 pounds. I'm going to die. He goes, but I checked you out. You're also Russian, Austrian, Hungarian, Jewish boy from New York. And even though he was years older than me, he said, I have this idea that if you were to cook for me the food that my mom or grandma made for me when I was little, it might give me an appetite, the smells, the memories. Like, son of a bitch, like this really mean man, powerful man, hit on something really big. And I use that as this idea for food with emotional content. Like the food from your childhood, those memories, when you're really down, like you have no appetite because you could be dead in a month.
Yeah.
Or you're going through chemo and radiation. How the foods of our childhood could get you through it with enough memory and nostalgia to make you want to eat.
Yeah.
And but like I think that's like and you would talk to grandmas about this, like at the various hospitals or whatever. They're like, of course, you idiot. Of course, that's why your grandma, your auntie, or your dad cooks for you when you're little. That's why the holidays are so great.
Yeah.
Like that food grounds you and connects you. Because we all closed our eyes and remember the food we ate when we were 10, when we were sick. We're all going to smile.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you know, holidays, and I don't mean Thanksgiving turkey, because that really is one of the worst national foods in the world.
Absolutely.
But like when we talk about pernil or like my grandma's brisket during, you know, like Passover or Rosh Hashanah or whatever, like, and it's not surprising, right, that that's usually poor, flavorful, not always super healthy foods because it hits all the notes.
Yeah.
Between the ingredients and your grandma, like that's the best. So like one of the things me and some chefs talk about is how great to be invited to like to Le Bernardin or per se. Like, wow, that's a gift. But you know something? If you said to me, "Hey, I know we just met, but like, you want to come to my mom's house for like Puerto Rican proper Christmas dinner?" Like, that's the invite.
Oh yeah.
That's the better meal for
Yep.
so many reasons. I'm going to remember that meal. Even if she's not a great cook, I'm going to remember
Yeah.
that experience more than one night at Le Bernardin.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, one of the things about being in New York is the food we get to eat here, like the real food we get to eat here. And I don't mean the stuff in Brooklyn. No offense, Brooklyn, but you know what I'm talking about. Like real cultural family centric food.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the best gifts of living in New York.
Yeah.
And I could talk about that one all day.
Yeah.
On that note, let's pause. I have to pee.
Go.
We'll take a quick break. Shout out to our sponsor.
And we're back. Thank you all. I needed to go to the bathroom very badly. So.
I love those commercials.
Commercial breaks?
Sponsors. That was pretty good.
Yeah. It was good.
So I wanted to just loop back to, one of the things we were talking about was, families and eating together. And I mean, I feel like it's one of the only times that every part of the family had an opportunity to just talk. Food or a happy dining setting is a really good way of like just taking down barriers. And you don't have gadgets around and you're just focusing on enjoying a meal and talking. And maybe that's something families are missing these days. I definitely noticed that we don't eat together as a family as much as I would like.
I agree. I think for me, growing up, my mom, dinner was like our main meal. And like, and even, with my dad, it was a little different, we weren't really like, we're not really sitting together, eating together. But I think having dinner, especially with my mother and my mom's side of the family, dinner was always like the big meal. And that's where you kind of sat down and got to really be with each other. So yeah, I definitely agree. And that was something that I always wanted. In my mind, I'm like, I always wanted to have dinner together with my son, with whatever family, I had. But it's definitely lacking these days. I feel like it's most times, sadly, I'll cook. My son is, I'll serve him his food. I'll go serve myself some food. He's on his device. I'm just shoveling food in my mouth. And then I'm starting to do the dishes. And he's just like, then when he's done, I do the dishes. Then it's like bedtime or close to bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I think I want to be more conscious of to try to make it, or I want to be more conscious to make an effort to foster that.
I think in a way for me, I've always like, maybe fantasize is not the right word, but I've always, how like in the movies or in the TV shows, everyone sits down and everyone's just, the whole family's at the table eating and they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my entire life, I've done that maybe like 5 times with my own family. And I try to do it, with the family I grew up with my own family now, and as a husband, as a father, we've done it very few times, and we do it, and to the point where it's like, is it corny? I was like, are we just trying to emulate what we see on TV? It's just like, is it fake? I think it's real when you actually do it with family, people you care, even if it's not your own, blood and flesh, but it moves so quick. I'll serve my son, I'll serve my wife, and then I'm in the kitchen standing, just eating like my plate. Maybe there's no space for me here, or they're busy doing the other things, and I think we do miss that though. Like a time where we could just sort of like get together. Everything that's like sort of affecting us, or like, the outside world is just out there, and it's just your family here.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's something that a lot of families are missing, and I think those things on TV or in movies or even experience are there for a reason. I think they're memories, as people have it's imagery and it's feeling and the sentiment that people experience, and people write it into shows or movies because it exists and they experienced it and it was meaningful to them. But yeah, I agree. Do you guys still do that or not really, or did you do that when?
I don't remember doing it. The holidays, the holidays when you did it. And of course there was the stresses, my grandma would come out to help my mom and she'd be chasing the cats off the dining room table with the broom. And then, there's all those stresses before the holiday meal. I can't imagine how maybe unenjoyable it was for them. But I do remember being a little kid sitting around the table with my grandpa and, the men talking or everybody talking. And And then, of course, you want to recreate that as the dad, and now you're forcing it because your kid doesn't want to, and your wife has schoolwork to do, and and now now it's becoming a problem rather than like this really great thing that you had in your head. And that's what's worse than that too, than like trying to create a really nice moment and it's going to shit and you're not realizing it, and it makes it worse.
It's totally like unnatural.
Right. Why can't they just let us dads do the thing that we think is best because we know better? What's wrong with these people?
But it's true. I think and I think when those things happen, I think for us, it's almost like it feels a lot worse than like, oh, maybe I just shouldn't have done it at all. Because when the end result is like you're trying to create this, or at least foster this time of bonding and time of family, and then everyone just seems so inconvenienced by it,
Disinterested.
Yes, and disinterested. On some level, it's hurtful. You're like, all right, like it makes you like, well, why am I putting the effort? And sort of like getting shit for putting in the effort.
Yeah,
What's worse than being disappointed because your expectations to do a good thing were wrecked?
Oh man,
Yeah.
devastating.
Don't they understand
Yeah, exactly.
how important these things are to us?
Well, I think people do on some level. They just don't equate it. I think everyone got so inundated and so like caught up in their own task or their own shit that I think the best conversations, the best times I've had in my life have probably been over meals. And the most fun I've had has been over meals, talking with people, laughing, joking, poking fun at each other.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the memories that when I think back of like funny times or things that really are meaningful in my life have been like food has been a part of it. And that like eating together has been a part of it. And I think that's unfortunate. I think it's also, I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, growing up, I had, very little family, but I think of like, my ex-wife, and she tells me stories of her family holidays as a kid. She has a big family and they're always together. But now everyone is fragmented. People have moved away. People live alone in different parts of the country, and no one comes together. I mean, the first couple years we were together, the holiday meals, it would be like 40 people, 30, 40 people. And it was like her uncles, her aunts, their kids. So it was like a shitload of kids. And then and her, it would be her cousins, and now her cousins' children, started to show up because, people are having families. But now people have moved away, people have retired, people have moved to Florida, Carolinas. So it's not there. So it becomes a fracture in the family where even on a social level, I don't think kids know how to socialize with each other or how to talk. Like there's times my son will talk to me or he'll try to explain something to me, and it's as fucked up as it sounds. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck you just said to me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. I was like, sometimes, I mean, I feel bad, but I'm like, okay, stop and think about what you want to say, then tell me. And it's because they lack the practice to just talk to people.
So I remember definitely being under the age of 11, and my brother and I had these two great aunts, and they made a point of sitting down with Adam, my brother and I, and talking to us as if we were little adults. And I'll never forget, they both told us, because this is how you learn to talk. We don't ignore kids in our family, because one day this is going to be your job. And I remember that. I mean, that's, over 55 years ago, and they're both long gone. But like, they got their point across. And I don't think we do that like we used to. We need like rent a grandma.
I know.
To have dinner.
But I have to say, out of everyone I know, and like I have tons of acquaintances, I think, and I'll say, even Bryan, I've known you for a long time. You're one of the people who I know who I feel have the ability to talk to anybody.
Oh, I disagree. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for that really kind compliment.
Take it back.
Before I shoot that down. No, thank you. I actually admire my brother Adam. We've traveled cross country, and he could walk into a bar or a restaurant, and before you know, we're talking with the owner or the oldest person in town, and it's like it's such a skill, and it's a natural skill.
I love people like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
he's
that
the
skill
best.
came from maybe it's your family, because you're not far from that. Because I think anytime we've gone anywhere, you're talking to this, talking to that. I feel like I'm such an introvert. I just talk to people that I know, and even then, after like sort of, I can't do group conversations that well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one or two at a
Right.
time. But if it's a big conversation with like 4 or 5 people, I'm just sort of like,
I love
stay
people.
quiet.
I think people are fascinating and interesting, and I think their stories, like people are great, and you know, just you just never know where it's going to go, or you never know what you're going to learn.
Yeah.
And you know, once again, over a nice meal, and when I say a nice meal, I don't mean fancy. I mean, you know,
Just food.
yeah.
and I feel like a meaningful meal.
Listen, a meaningful meal is, you know, you cook like and not just putting together like, you know, tuna casserole or whatever, you know, but like you put together a meal and you invite people over. That's meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be high quality. I mean, I think a meaningful meal could be like eating a pizza and Jamaican beef patties at like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a pizzeria.
And you
Just
start
like-
talking about the
yeah.
origin of beef patty, and then why my family used to make beef patty. That's the sort of like meaningful meals that I feel like are super important, and you always remember. Some of the most meaningful meals I've had are always over Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I would say before that, even when I had this Japanese family staying here with us, they would cook. One of the things that I sort of convinced them to do is I was like, listen, you guys are here, you guys are here all week, but I would really love to eat Japanese food maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. So every Friday we would come and we would have some sort of Japanese food. And they would tell me the origin. They were like, oh, if you go to, Osaka, or if you go to Fukuoka, they have like, that's the birthplace of ramen. That's this and that. And we learned so much. But it was an amazing conversation. And sometimes we'd bring out the griddle here, and sometimes we would cook right here, right in the middle. And that to me was just like, it was like one of the most best experience I've had with food. Just sitting here, and I'm like, this is a small apartment. We have 8 people in the house, but everyone's like playing, everyone's doing their thing. It just felt so cozy, so comfortable, and like it felt really good to me.
To me, that right there is like the epitome of like heaven. Like if heaven could
Yes.
be anything, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you learn, and to learn in that wonderful experience, nothing better than that.
Yeah.
And also like, just eating together, sharing stories, learning from each other,
Yeah.
and like the children are around. Like, I mean, I think that's one of the few things. I think that those experiences transcend cultures.
Yeah.
I think like families. I mean, it's there's a reason why if you go to a lot of like Asian cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, food and family is like a lot of those moments. I mean, and like a lot of the bonding is surrounded with those moments.
Yeah.
And food.
Yep.
And Jonathan's an amazing cook, so I think Jonathan should.
And why isn't he cooking right now?
I don't know. we could do this in my
Get
kitchen.
your nah.
I'm fine with that.
So. Something else that I thought of during our quote unquote commercial / pee break
Yeah.
was so you had mentioned something earlier about mentoring and the ability to, not really the ability, but the lack of, like sort of like, let's call it third party mentoring. And I thought to myself, while we took that break, that I feel like in the past that may have happened in a way where there were like father and son trips, and maybe there's like something like I equate it to maybe something like the Boy Scouts, or even like fishing trips, or things where as where traditionally like a men's trip, and it'll be like a father and son, and I wonder if that's where a lot of those moments happened, or family gatherings with uncles. But a lot of people don't have those large families, or
Right.
or that kind of relationship with their families. And how do we, as fathers, as men, how do we create this community where we can all sort of get together, get children together? I'm not trying to exclude daughters, but of course maybe get children together, whether it be sons or daughters, and create this community where and build and foster enough where other men can foster or build a rapport with our children, where like, for example, if my son thinks I'm being an asshole, or like he doesn't not really pay me any mind, someone else who I think is insightful or has some some knowledge to share can give them some advice that can benefit him. Whereas for me, if he hears it from me, it's not going to have an impact on him. Or even foster interest, or even help like nurture them in other ways, whether they have an interest that an interest that I have no interest in, like something that I'm not familiar with and someone else does, and how to have this pooled resources of knowledge that we could share amongst each other, because every kid is so different. I mean, like you said, you didn't play sports. I didn't play sports as a kid. I did martial arts, as an adult, and that's how I sort of got into it. And I sort of helped Hunter, or got him into it, and he did it for a long time. But now he's sort of done with it, and now he's doing baseball. I know very little about baseball, so so I'm like, okay, I'm not really. So I'm sort of like watching a lot of YouTube videos about learning about different bats and gloves and shit like that, or watching, looking at resources online. But it's not like I know a dad who was like, oh yeah, I played baseball as a kid, or as a in college or whatever. I don't. It's just because my access to people are so limited. My life is time constraints are so tight that it's hard to even try to meet those people.
Right.
So so how as like dads do we come together and create this pool set of resources where we can bounce off each other? I also think that segues into like career and life, where I think of like there's people who I grew up with who I mean, one person who his father was one of the owners of a brand that most people have been in the airport know. Everyone knows this brand. I'm not going to say the company name, but he was one of the original owners. I think he sold his share of the company for some astronomical amount of money, like I think 8 or 9 figures, something kind of crazy. 8 or 9 figures, like maybe 50, 60, I don't know, like 50 million, let's say,
Right,
in
okay.
that range. About 7, I guess. And you start realizing that those connections, and in certain settings, like I equate it to like maybe like maybe upper class, maybe like what are they called? Country clubs, where families go and socialize, and and this person knows this person's dad, and so the kids start building this social network where if they have an interest in business or interest in medicine or interest in whatever it is, they then have someone that can help them or mentor them or guide them in a way where, like a lot of other dads who are just sort of figuring it out or just sort of like living their lives, we don't have access to that, and neither do the kids. So there's no ability to mentor, no ability to, and I'm not saying for financial gain, but even just for social, for academic, for just in general maturing.
I don't have an answer to any of that, but I agree with all of it. I mean, I always tell my son, and I tell people, like, unless you say yes to opportunity or experiences, you're not meeting a whole bunch of people. You never know who's going to be at that party, who's going to be at that, what you think is going to be a shitty part-time job. It could be your best friend, your future boyfriend, girlfriend, mentor. And I think that's part of it, is encouraging people to get out there. I mean, I wish I had more of that experience myself. And you're right, time constraints and things get in the way, and we all mean well. And that goes back to, I think, post-COVID, our kids spending more and more time isolated isn't helping anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like an idea I had when, like in the bathroom, I was like, I remember in the past you did the Queen's Dinner Club.
Yeah.
And so Jonathan, I used to love them. I guess they would find like these smaller, newer. It was kind of like he was like the Keith Lee of I'm not sure you know who Keith Lee is. He's like a social media star now who he'll go to restaurants that are struggling, and kind of do a food review. But so he
Post them up, yeah.
Exactly. Jonathan was like Keith Lee before social media, where they would find smaller restaurants, specifically I think in Queens primarily, right?
All Queens.
Yeah.
So the idea of being like, hey, there's this great mom and pop Argentinian restaurant in Corona. Let's go to them and say, hey, what's your slowest night? Monday, great. We got 45 seats. We're gonna try to book 45 seats. We want you to do a fixed menu so you don't lose money. Make the most you can. Yeah. We'll sell the tickets. We'll promote. We'll pay you at the end of the night, and we're gonna give people a chance to experience really good food that we've curated. Like, we're introducing the world to you, and it was fun. It was you sit with strangers at the table. Yeah. So you're talking about creating like a really nice group dynamic.
Yeah, and maybe actually, and then also maybe segueing that with like I think at one point I tried to get some of the dads together.
We went to
The churrascaria.
Churrascaria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we also went to the Argentinian place in
No, it wasn't Ecuadorian on 37th Avenue.
yes.
We sat at that back table.
Mm-hmm.
You know the
In Astoria?
no
37th
in Jackson Heights.
Jackson Heights. Okay.
somewhere around like in the 70s or low
Yep.
80s, and it was like you
I
get
think,
the
it was El Chivito de Oro.
Chivito
Yes.
Oro,
Yes.
Okay.
because they got their morcilla from the
Yes,
El
from the same
Gachito.
butcher from the Gallito. Yeah.
This is important knowledge, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, exactly. Like, hold on, notes.
Exactly.
Notes.
Well, there'll be a transcript after.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Maybe that might be my next passion project is maybe trying to create a a father and son, or a dad's dinner club.
That would be dope.
So in the Basque Country in Spain, like San Sebastian,
Mm-hmm.
there's this history of these men's only cooking clubs. So these men would gather and they would do like these 10-course meals, and they would sit and they would eat and they would drink, which is pretty cool idea. But you're talking about creating experiences, and I could see how bringing dads together with their kids, boys and girls, and cooking with a purpose, like cooking for the moms. And so that way you're teaching your kids like the importance of like cooking is an important skill.
Yeah.
Cooking for others is a better skill. Cooking for the mom, like that's a nice gesture. That's a way of teaching kids a whole bunch of things. And of course, when the hell that's actually going to happen, we could find a time to do it. I don't know, but like that sounds pretty good.
I mean, I'm divorced, so I mean, if I do a dinner club, that's my safe space.
Yeah. Cooking for myself. Screw you
Joking,
guys.
of course.
But we can just do the dads, But we were talking about mentoring our kids.
No, I'm joking.
Mentor myself. Yeah.
But no, like it's like you're talking about eating before. Like I go out with a couple of dads in the neighborhood. Our sons are all like at the same age. You go to a bar, and no one's a heavy drinker, but there's the first drink or two, that really great, just relaxed conversation.
Cuts the edge. Yeah.
Right. Before like maybe too many drinks.
Yeah.
But just that nice place. That's what a good family meal is.
Yeah.
You're all in that really comfortable space. We all know what this space is. We all know how to behave.
Yeah.
And it's just nice sitting with people. Yeah, I really, nothing would be more important in my life than having that once a week, with friends and family.
That's true. Yeah. Good for your own sanity.
Yeah.
Talk about mental health. That's mental health right there.
Yep.
And I think that's one thing that men don't really, in general, like seek out community. They do in some ways, but not in those ways.
So my cousin married a finance lawyer, and he's a really nice guy, and they moved from New York City to Boston, and they just had their first kid. And I remember my cousin telling me that he was really struggling, but he was struggling because no male friends around. All of his anchor friends were back in New York or Chicago, and how tough it was and to make new friends. And that's when I started hearing from my friends, the guys in like those kind of jobs.
Yeah.
That like other than golfing with a work buddy, like, friends move away, they get married, different things.
Such, yeah.
And how traditionally the older men get, the lonelier they get because they don't have that network around them. And thank God, that's not my life.
Yeah.
Because I can already feel pretty lonely at times. I can't imagine having to do a grind of like 60 to 80 hours a week and not have a couple of buddies around.
Yeah. To talk to.
I mean, that would be almost, suicidal.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's, chances are, what has a really harmful impact on men's mental health and their well-being, and
then their children's mental health and well-being.
of course, definitely. I mean, the one thing, I feel, unfortunately, my time constraints are so tight. I get to see Bryan almost, every 2 weeks when we record the episodes, and we talk on the phone. I try to like be more active talking on the phone with people, but I realized this will be the 5th episode we've recorded.
I think so. Yeah.
And just from these 5 episodes that we've recorded and the conversations I've had, I've learned so much. And there have been things that I've learned from other dads and the way like, things that they've tried and tactics they do. And also just in general, like, I mean, a friend of mine, Joel, who was on some time ago, he said something that he does is when he thinks about someone, he just texts them. Says, hey, what's up? I was thinking about you. Just want to say what's up. And it wasn't like I want something, you know what I mean? Or there's nothing. They're not asking
Just
for
for that,
anything.
yeah.
It's just, and I realized what a fucking great, like, what a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And I've been on the receiving end of those texts, and I've gotten them like, oh shit, Joel. And I love that guy. Generally, he's an awesome guy. I love him to death. And I was like, oh man, it's awesome to hear from him. And it makes you still feel connected because there's times in our lives, because a lot of our lives are so task oriented and demanding, that you do on some level start feeling isolated. And also as like, for me at least, as a father with less than ideal role model, I feel at a loss a lot of times on how to be a dad and how to parent, but also just in general feeling isolated, like there's not really, and you don't want to burden anyone with what you're feeling or your challenges, because ultimately it becomes like, at least for me, I feel like I'm the person that has to hold it down. I'm the person that has to figure it out. But there's times that I'm like, yo, like I'm struggling with my own stuff, but there's no ability to like go out. So I feel like just in these conversations, I realized that I need to talk to people more. And I think I really want to get more dads connected and talking to each other and forming a community, even if it's like just these, conversations, because I think without them, especially as you said, as we get older, we become further and further, like more isolated from each other and disconnected, which I think is not the way humans are supposed to live. Yeah. I think that, like, I really believe the way we thrived is in groups and in like, and amongst each other. I think once people sort of become more isolated, and I think New York does a really bad about that because we're still, there's so many people on top of each other that you almost like, you feel the need to push people away because you don't have your own space. But on some level, that also becomes, I mean, there's some people who I know who have moved here, like, oh yeah, I live in New York. There's a million people here, and I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm totally alone.
So, well, you just brought up a bunch of stuff. So, you said it, like, I like to be social. I like talking, except for when things aren't going great. I think part of the reason why I've been such a good caregiver is because I'm not very good at taking care of myself. And this past year was a particularly bad year on a whole bunch of levels, professionally, personally, family. And I realized that I cut out a lot of people because I was either too embarrassed, or I didn't want to talk about some things, or I was tired of talking about it too much to some people. That, like, I was on Facebook 2 days ago, and I realized that a really dear friend who doesn't live here anymore, it's his birthday. And they reached out for my birthday in June, and I never responded. And I realized it's probably been a year since I spoke to him. So I picked up the phone. I called him out of the blue. It was as if nothing had changed, because that's what friends are. And I felt really bad, and I apologized. But, like, that's a really bad trait and a really common trait that I have. And that's not good. And you guys, made me realize that right now. I've got to stop that shit, because that's not healthy.
I think that it's a trait that, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but I feel like in my conversations, and I know the way I am, most men do have. I feel like it's...
You can't ask for help.
Exactly. Because on some level, I mean, I know there was like, I'm not sure if it was a year ago or like maybe some time ago, you know how like these like memes or these little like short video clips start making their rounds on social media. And there was one where the, it asked women, oh, so, when you're feeling sad, who do you call? And they'll say, oh, I call my mom, I call my sister, I call my girlfriend, I call my best friend. And that's the guy, and he's like, I don't know, you call people? Who do you, I don't, like, you can call someone?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, and they were like, and it was being genuine. They're like, I don't call anybody. And then I think that's something that the unfortunate part with men, especially as we get older, as as the demands of our life increase. You almost like self isolate yourself, or especially when you're feeling down, because especially as like the roles we play. You're a father. You have your business. You have all these roles where you have to be in charge. I mean, not really in charge, but you're kind of like trying to quote unquote be the leader. And now to be like, oh no, I'm not that. I'm a person who's struggling and a person who doesn't have his shit together and is just barely hanging on by a thread.
Right, because then they'll realize that you're a fraud and
Yeah.
you're an
Then we
imposter.
go back to imposter
And,
syndrome.
yeah, and then the other thing you said, like, you talk to these guys, like, I don't, who am I going to call? Well, then it's also not who you're going to call, but do I have people in my life that I even could call? And I think a lot of people don't, which
Yeah.
is really sad and probably true.
'Cause I think dynamics change as you get older.
Yeah, we got to cut that shit out. Because one of the things I learned about cooking for people with cancer, the intention was to come up with ways to help people cook for themselves who are facing like life and death, cancer. And then when you would teach these classes, very often the mom or dad or grandparent would be accompanied by not a caregiver, but like the caregiver daughter, right? Or son.
Right.
And in talking to the caregiver, you realize there was this whole emotional thing being played out, always negative. And then you realize that if the caregivers don't take care of themselves, how can you take care of anybody? And of course, the second I said that out loud, I almost just started crying. You're like, oh shit, really? Of course, really. And as dads and caregivers, right, and all these things, like, I don't think most of us realize that.
Yeah.
And taking care of ourselves isn't like, a night off to go drinking with the guys. Taking care of ourselves is like having friends you can actually talk to, or something, some sort of network, foundation. I don't think most men in this age have a day and age have a foundation of trust and support around them.
But I also I think it's hard to find the kind of friends where you can share that with.
Right.
Because a lot of times, if you're going through it, I have some friends I have friends who I've known for 30 years, and if I call them, it's like, let's say if like I'm having challenges with my girlfriend, like with my lady, and I'm like going, it's like, fuck her, she's, whatever, when do you want to go out, want to go drink, fuck her. But in my mind, I'm like, that's easy to say when you're 20 years old, 21 or whatever. But I'm like, I'm going to be a 50-year-old man. I'm like, no,
That's not what I was looking for.
exactly what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Yeah. And I think it's because that lack of or inability to connect on an emotional level. Like, I feel like if you're upset, like, you want to go get a beer? Or, which is sometimes warrants the situation. But there's times when you want to have an honest conversation. And I think a lot of times, in my experience, the majority of the male friends I have, for whatever reason, maybe it could be upbringing or whatever, don't have the ability to show that level of vulnerability.
And not to make light of this moment, but this is really where your producer's supposed to lean in and say, and if you're really enjoying this podcast and getting something out of it, please visit our website and subscribe to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm here for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm like, seriously, like that's what this conversation feels like to me. Like everybody should be a part of this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, this is great, guys.
Yeah. I really hope. I think, I wasn't sure, whether or not to bring this up, but I think I kind of broached on it during another, episode that we did. Was part of the reasons that I wanted to create this and do this was because one, of course, over the past couple of years, I've been battling my own depression, my own challenges in life. But then I also, we have one former mutual friend that ended up committing suicide. I have another dad that I know, and I have actually a third dad that I know that committed suicide.
Wow.
And I realized that, and these are not, none of the men were men that, I knew them that ever exhibited any signs of sadness, any signs of being distraught or any outward showing signs of like any kind of sadness or even depression. Every time I saw, one of them, he was like, a coach that I had, super outgoing, very loud, really animated. Whenever you saw him, he was like, he had that like really positive energy, and very motivating. And, and he was very close with his son, and him and I connected because like I was, I'm very close with my son as well. And for a long time, during my separation, from my ex-wife, me and my son were literally attached at the hip. Like anywhere I go, he'd be with me. So we were, he was doing martial arts, I was doing martial arts. We were doing it in parallel. So we had so we kind of bonded over this thing. And then I found out he died, and I was like, holy shit, like, he died. And that wasn't until a year later I had found out that he had actually, I feel like whenever I hear people die, I hate what happened. I feel like it's like, whenever I hear that, I'm listening like, ugh, like, mind your fucking business, and it seems so morbid. It's like morbid porn. Or like, so I'm like, I never even asked. I saw, in my mind, I thought maybe he had some kind of health condition, maybe it was an accident, whatever it was, like, I didn't ask. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't talk to him about anybody. And then a year later, we had some mutual friends and we're talking, and then they said, oh yeah, this person committed suicide. And I was like, what? I was like, that's how they died? And I remember when they told me, I literally felt like someone stabbed me in the stomach. Like I had this incredibly sharp pain that's like, hold my stomach. I'm like it felt like physical pain. And I'm like, holy shit. And then we had, a mutual friend that I found out that he had committed suicide, and another friend. And I realized that if I'm struggling with my shit, and there's a few friends I have. I've had Bryan, who's been there for me a couple, when I was going through my divorce. And I've had other friends, specifically, female friends that have sort of helped me go through it. But if I didn't have that, there's a good possibility that I would have like followed that same path. And because there were times I thought to myself, there's times it was funny. If I didn't have a kid, if I didn't have my son and I'd be responsible for him, there's a good possibility I'll just kill myself because nothing else didn't seem like anything else like was really worth being here for.
Right.
So if I experience that, and I'm fortunate enough to have even one or two friends I can turn to, imagine if there's someone out there who most men don't even have that, because I know for myself, I know hundreds of people. People like my girlfriend's like, oh, you know everyone. I was like, yeah, I know this person, another person. I know people, but I know a shitload of people. I'm friends with only a very small people. I have a real connection with only a small amount of people. And that is the hard part.
So when you told me about this podcast, right, you called me up that day. The biggest reason I said yes was, if I've learned anything, it is you really want to help people, you share about yourself. Like you never know who you're going to help. And this literally, I don't know anybody this might be helping because I don't personally know anybody that's going to be listening to this. So examples are, right after 9/11, I had always had some, I would say, mental health issues, some mild depression. But 9/11 really like got me off my ass, and I went to get some help. And, I've been on like a mild antidepressant for years now. And my father, who would never go on it, let alone admit that there was even a problem, even though he said he was proud of me for doing it, I talk about that, not intentionally, but when it comes up, I share it. And I have learned that I have helped some people, like it's okay. I'm very aware that sometimes I can come off as a big, tough kind of guy. I'm not, obviously I'm not, but you just never know. Right. And,
when I first started, I thought, hey, this guy's a goon.
Actually, when I first met you, I was intimidated, actually, even though you were a very cute little kid on the playground. And then, the other big thing is, how much we wrap up our lives with like our successes and our jobs. Like, so when I was turning 50, between 49 and 50, I'd gotten rid of my catering company, and I was cooking for people with cancer. But like my career, my success was dead. We were, I would say we were struggling, or certainly I was. And I would say that I had a bit of a breakdown, like a real breakdown. Like I was never a big crier, even though I said I've come from like a emotionally, emotional family. But like, my brother came to visit me one day and I just started crying in front of him. And he was like, what the fuck? What is going on? And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I am not the same person anymore. And then, my wife thankfully was so supportive. She's like my rock. And it's like, yeah, like how many other people are going through this? And, if you want to, what is it? You have to help yourself before you help others.
Yeah.
But like stuff like this conversation, like you're actually helping yourself by helping others. And like that's like, a mitzvah or a blessing or whatever you want to call it. But like that is the reason that I was looking forward to this podcast.
Thank you.
So
And
thank you
awesome.
both.
And I'm really happy you came. I think I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday about this, and I was like, it's like this. Even though we're in the infancy stage,
Right.
in the early stages, it's something. The first thing in a very, very long time that I have genuine pride for, and I feel like, and maybe I'm so close to it. I'm like, I feel like I've captured lightning in a bottle.
You have.
And I love it. I feel
Yeah.
like I love the conversations. I love Bryan. I love you. People come on and share their stories, and and it takes a little time. I think a lot of times I feel like people always ask, "Oh, how long is the podcast?" And I was like, I don't know. Normally, like 2 hours. It's like, what, 2-3 hours? I'm like, yeah, because I realized that in the first hour people talk, but after a while, like you can only talk so long, and at some point, if you're sharing things or whatever, you can only. I can't say bullshit, but you can only your representative can only show up for only a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of conversation, people either see through who you are, or you'll sort of like you get a little more comfortable and you start talking, you start sharing things. So, and I think that sort of happened. I feel like like I've known you for a long time, and we've shared things with each other, and you shared a lot today, and it's meaningful to me. It helps me like learn more about you as a person. It helps me learn more about myself as a person. And I'm hoping that, other people and other men that listen can relate on some level to something that we've said and realize they're not alone, and that we're all going through the same shit, and that you don't have to do it alone, and that you're not the only person who's going through it, and that you can find people to like help you through it.
Yeah. Very well said. How common this is. You are not alone. It's all your own personal thing, but like this is common.
Yeah.
And for most men, they feel like it's like, at least for me, for many years, I feel like all of a sudden I'm like, what's wrong with me? I see other dads on the playground or whatever they have it all together. And I have to say, something that I mentioned before is, so there were things that, because of my lack of role models of parenting, or as lack of a father role model, there were times when my son was young that I turned to like the dads I met at the playground, specifically you, and there were other dads there. And I'm not sure if you realize this, but there were times I would observe the interactions you had with your own children, and I would think, oh shit, that's a good idea. And I would take these little bits and pieces of things that I saw, things I noticed that you did, and I liked it, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense than like my way of like, my fucking brute way of trying to like figure it out. And I have to say, even for like the dads that I met, you guys, like the fathers I met during that period helped me a lot to become a better father.
So Bryan, you know how the grass is always greener? You know that phrase?
On the other side, yeah.
Yeah. So, we'd be on the playground and there'd be Pete with his kickboxing pads for Hunter to practice on. And there would be Alex, with his boys playing baseball every day, catch, Sharky playing football or hopscotch with his daughter, whatever it was. And like there I was, Mr. Fat non-sports guy. And I'm like, God, those dads are so much better than me.
No way.
The point being, everyone's better than you. Everyone is better than you. Whatever that thing that caught their eye.
Yeah.
We're so full of shit. We're so full of shit. I go, I wish I was a better dad. Look what he's doing. And we're sitting there thinking the same thing in return.
The same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That
I
is
need some
kind of
big
funny.
pads like that.
Because I always thought, because there were times that you said things like, even before when you said about the reassurance of letting Leo go, and something I'm like, yeah, something that I realized that many people, it's not such a minor thing, but that one gesture can impart so much confidence in your kid to tackle the world. If you're like, okay, and if they see you're nervous,
Some of those moms.
yeah, And like what it does is it shows them that you don't even have the confidence in them to do it, that they can do it.
Yeah. So, like the monkey bars and that whole sort of standalone contraption, the
Yeah.
treehouse thing. My son would get on top of the monkey bars and walk across them.
Oh,
And there'd be all these moms like, but deep down inside, I'm like, oh my God, look at my fucking, I'm so proud of him. Like, he's so coordinated.
don't fall.
The joke is like, he's the only Forgash with a six pack in our family. He's like, kid's in shape, man. He's like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So he would do all these things. He would tightrope walk across the top of the chain link fence. And first of all, it was part of our rule, like, up there with don't be a dick and don't be a jerk and be kind, do well in school, was you can look like you're doing something dangerous, but don't be stupid.
Yeah.
And he always did dangerous sort of looking stuff. And I was just proud. So I could see another parent going, oh, look at that bad father.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, no, he knows what he's doing. And like,
Yeah.
your kid's a pussy.
Yeah.
But even that, I feel like I was more like, okay. Like for a long time, I was like more of like, helicopter, like overprotective.
You?
Parent. Yeah. For a little, when Hunter was very young. But then I think of like, the other dad, the Romanian dad, I forgot his name, that has the two daughters, and one daughter, I think she was like 3 years old, and she would climb to like the top of this little mini like climbing wall they had at the playground.
Yeah.
And then it was at least 15 feet, maybe 6, like high. She'll climb to the top of it and then stand on top of it. And I'd be standing there with fucking full on anxiety. And I would like little by little get closer and closer to that.
Because you know that guy's a bad father.
And I'm like, but in my, he's like, she's fine. And I'm like, holy shit. But me, I'm
gotta
like,
go in for the
my
save.
anxiety was like through the roof. And I'm like, all right, I'll just get a little closer.
Just close your eyes.
Does happen.
I would have never guessed that about you.
Well, you know what it is? I think it's like, it's all underlying. It's like my face has one thing. I mean, except if I'm like annoyed or pissed off, I think that's readily like apparent on my face. But like everything else, I feel like I'm like the duck waiting in the water. Like it's just like everything's inside. Like I feel like I'm riddled with anxiety 90% of the time.
So he's basically telling us that he was the hall monitor in elementary school.
Yeah, without anybody knowing.
Without anyone. Well, I think it's all very like surface though, right? You see this confidence in people and stuff like that, but you don't really know what's going on. I mean, we're all going through our own shit, right? And even though you may look like the most confident dad in the playground, I mean, they're probably battling some shit that you just don't know about.
I mean, because I thought of Jonathan. I'm like, this guy talks to all the dads. He's like friends with everyone.
Guy's the mayor over
we
here.
go out, he's like the mayor. We'll go anytime that we've gone out to like any restaurants. He's talking to the owner, talking to this person, talking to that person. He's like out in the world doing his thing.
How?
Yeah, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is just cruising through the world, and I'm here like doom, like trudging along like a fucking Luddite, like
Yeah, but
caveman.
is he dealing with his own issues?
Yeah.
No, or who knows?
Excuse me.
But I guess at the end of the day, you never know what's going on beneath the surface with somebody.
But the flip side of that is, like, I have made my life out of doing the things that I'm good at and the things that I love. Like I didn't get a degree in any of the shit, so I worked it out through opportunity. Like, it's great that I get to help other people through like promoting them and encouraging them. So in that way, I acknowledge that I'm really, really fortunate. But I'm still so envious of other people and the things that they can do better than me.
I mean,
Which is why you should always ask those people for help.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think even that in itself, when you see someone and they look super confident, I think, and you're dealing with your own shit, even that instills some sort of like confidence, or it makes people want to be better, even though you don't got your shit together.
By talking about it, or by
no,
what?
by just being who you are. You're just like, yo,
True.
And you're battling something, but on the outside you're like, I got this, and that may inspire someone to sort of be like, you know what, he got it,
But then the same thing goes for you. There's times I look at Bryan, and like I'm like, yo, everyone loves Bryan.
I love that show.
I was like, yo, everyone like, yo, anywhere we've gone, like, oh, that guy's awesome. Or like even at like
Thank you.
his employers, he gets along with everyone. Me, I'm like, I'm an acquired taste. I'm like, and
like Nato.
I'm like,
Like Nato.
yeah, exactly. But like, but even like and even your
Yeah.
wife Evelyn. So the funny part is, I guess their personalities, I feel like are still. I'm a lot more extroverted than I am, and just like easy to navigate social situations. At my wedding, they were there. Yo, him and his wife got pictures with almost everyone in the family. My
Everyone.
family, Julie's family. I saw like they sent me the pictures. I was like, there were pictures with them and almost everyone. Like, hey, and, like
Your
most
uncle-
of my
Uncle
my
Stanley,
Uncle
right?
Stanley.
Stanley?
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, there's pictures with him and like Julie's aunt, Carol. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, I saw Carol for like 5 minutes. I didn't get a picture with her.
Dude, I gotta say, I attribute all of that to Evelyn. That's Evelyn. So Evelyn will go. Evelyn will every time we meet here with friends. She's like, hold on, let me bring up the pictures from 1984, and she'll like that. She'll cast it. She'll show it to the T. I was like, where do you even get these pictures from? Like, how are you storing these? But she's amazing, and she just loves photography. She doesn't do it professionally, but to her friends, she's like, she's like, yo, it's Evelyn. It's Evelyn's camera. It's the Google camera. You got it. She takes all the good pictures. Make sure she gets pictures.
But
She
yeah.
loves that stuff.
Well, you got a good one then.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
I am lucky, man.
Man, well, I guess you're both very lucky. You have really two amazing women.
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to figure my shit out.
Keep doing these talks, and you
Yeah. No, man, you got good people around you though, and you're a good person. So
yeah.
I feel like what? I don't know that. I think I'm trying. I'm trying to be. I don't know. I really don't think I'm that great. I don't think I'm that good of a person. I'm just trying not to be better, even if it's like incrementally these small little things from being asshole to like just being decent.
Right. So it's
well,
like
now that
this,
you
like,
say that, no,
if your friends were to sit around and judge you and say all these things, you'd be sitting there thinking, yeah, but if they really knew,
Yeah.
is that right? Yeah, we're our own worst enemies, man. It's just ridiculous because, like, you want to know who you are. You ask your friends and your spouse or your parents, and they will tell you the truth. If you listen to them, that's another thing, and I'm guilty of that too. I'm sure Bryan is too.
absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
terrible at acknowledging how people view us.
I think we have to get dads together more. I think that Jonathan should resurrect, or
Just for dads or for everybody?
I mean, I guess
Just
for
us two
everyone.
dads at the
I mean,
moment.
For Neil, right?
Yeah.
First meal.
See, what sucks is that I don't eat pork anymore. I'll have a pernil if my mom makes it. All I'll
Right.
take a bite of it. But after I got my gallbladder removed in
Oh,
2019, I stopped eating like red meat, and I stopped eating. Every once in a while, I'm like, okay, I have to eat this burger or I have to eat this, steak, whatever it is. But I don't go out looking for it.
Did you lose weight?
I did immediately, and then almost as immediately I gained weight. I went back to eating. So now I'm trying to sort of like, I just want to incorporate more vegetables in my life, more healthier foods. I went into this whole thing of like trying to make more Japanese food, like Japanese breakfast, Japanese dinner. But it's just difficult sometimes to like you get home and like start making a meal, and I'm like, damn, I didn't buy any groceries. Now I got to step out. That's the worst part. When I was like, I got to step out again.
Right.
I'm like, I'm already in my socks. I'm not leaving.
And that's it, just your socks.
Yeah, I'm just in my socks, just butt nilsy around the
Can't
house.
walk out of the house.
It's just the apron with the cheeks out.
Do you make oyakudon?
Yes, I've made it like 3 or 4 times.
It's one of my favorite things.
I love making, which is probably the easiest thing, onigiri, because just
But
rice bowl.
difficult. No, not onigiri is awesome. Actually, I've only tried it a couple of times. I'm not very good at it.
Oh man, I'm sorry. There's Japanese rice cooker there. I got the Japanese water boiler there. I mean, I got so much stuff.
We do have the rice cooker. We even have the molds for onigiri, but the oyakudon,
Same.
it's like soft egg and
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's
sort of
what
poached chicken
Yeah,
and
yep.
rice.
Is it like sometimes it has chicken or beef, and it's kind of like fried with onions,
Usually-
and then a soft egg on top?
It's a very soft poach, like literally over some rice.
Yeah, you
Just egg?
you essentially like boil like 2 eggs or whatever
Right.
over the mix of like mirin of sake and over the of a usually not chicken breast. It's like chicken thigh.
Yeah.
Chicken thigh, and it's like sort of runny-ish, but like
It's a great lunch or
oh
breakfast.
man,
And then I've started doing like the soy egg.
yes, yeah. You leave that marinated.
Yeah, and then my son now wants have you seen onsen egg? It's like barely soft-boiled egg in some dashi stock over some rice.
Ooh.
Yeah, Japanese cooking is very simple cooking once you have the technique down. Like there's not a lot
Correct.
to it. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
We did 14 days in Japan those 2 years ago, and you're like, there isn't a lot of flavor going on. Like after a while, you realize like there are some real limitations to Japanese cooking.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a fan of perfumes and odors, spice. It even goes into their food. It's more about what quality and technique.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hell, what's better than Japanese food, right?
I'm telling you, amazing. And
I've-
there's so many Japanese places around here too.
Oh my god, it's great. I've had to up my Japanese, Thai, and Chinese cooking skills for my son. Yeah, my son it benefits, man. Like I don't have hundreds of people to cook for every day. I pretty much am his private showed over
Private
cook.
chef. Yeah. Yeah.
My wife was like, "This is bullshit. You're cooking for him." I'm like, "You're an adult. You know how to cook."
And I'm eating pancakes over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when you were like, so I guess Jonathan had, go back to Queens Dinner Club. He did this event at where are they from? Was it Tibet? The Tibetan place, or the place where they had the grilled boar?
Nepali.
Oh, Nepali.
Oh.
So they had an event there, and the food, and they had this grilled boar dish that was fucking delicious. And it's just like it's a wild pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he would say, "Oh yeah, like my son's craving wild boar," and I was like, "Damn, man, that kid is living the life." Like that's some.
Here I am cooking
some sophisticated palate already.
chicken nuggets and dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets.
Exactly.
Well, and then we go back to how lucky you are to have our kids raised in the city. So, my son goes to the school in Astoria, but his friends are all over.
Yeah.
Some seem to be in Jackson Heights. So, like, yeah, so hey, you guys want to go to Popeyes? And he's like, well, why don't we go to Nepali Banchagar for like momos? And I'm like, fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
They're like,
win.
excuse me?
But his friends are like, they're also like very cultural, multicultural, wherever their families are from. So, they're pretty interested. And some of them are teenagers. They just want Popeyes or McDonald's.
Some quick fast food, yeah.
But my son, like, we just don't eat that stuff.
Yeah.
So he actually has a really good palate. His, I think, sense of taste and smell is much better than mine. But, and he has expressed interest. We went to look at a couple of schools just to look. I know he's a little young. And they were talking about how the cafeterias all have like brand name sort of kiosks. Like there's no real regular food anymore. There's the Popeyes, there's the chopped salad, there's the Star. Yeah. So my son says, are there kitchens in the dorms? And they're like, there's a hot plate. And afterwards, he's like, I think I'm going to need a couple of signature dishes to come cook for people at college. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so this is an example of, I don't think I'm teaching him shit.
But you are.
This is absolutely.
Right. Which is why it's the journey, not the destination. And other bullshit meme lines like that are so fucking true.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, food is. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about being in the city. You said. I mean, not to diss other places, but kids
go
in Long
ahead.
Island are not eating the way our kids are.
Who?
Kids in Long Island.
No.
Yeah.
I think you're going to say Staten Island, and that's for sure.
Oh, that's.
There's a whole bunch of problems out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like the food and the culture that's available to people in New York City, specifically, Queens and parts of other boroughs. I mean, what better way to explore the world than through the actual food and the people eating it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's
think
so
I've had so
delicious.
many good conversations over food.
Right? So when are we doing this at a restaurant?
Yeah.
when we went.
Doing this at a restaurant. You can put mics at a table.
Yeah. Yeah. The background noise is just like,
It's perfect. It's like a movie set.
Yeah.
That will actually be a good idea. We should do an episode.
Right?
Yeah.
Is
That'll
it-
be like one of
what you hear,
our
though?
spin-off episodes.
A spinoff? Yeah.
Right.
Got to get the cameras over there.
Really
It's
bad
true.
sound effects though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the friendships I made throughout living in New York City, like, gave me the knowledge about food. I mean, I had a Korean friend. I learned about Korean food. I had a friend who was Colombian. I learned about Colombian food. I had a friend who was like Indian food. So you get to experience all these different cultures, all these different foods, and I think it also humanizes people where they're not other.
Right.
And I think that's something that a lot of places outside of even though there's some things about living in this bubble that I'm not a fan of, but I think the lack of othering other people, because you get to interact and deal and see these people, so they're not an other. They're just like another person
So
trying to figure their life out.
that's an example for me, in particular, of COVID. So before COVID, we live in Astoria. There's a Bangladeshi community nearby on 36th Avenue. Oh, we're going to go for Bangladeshi food. But you didn't really know the people.
Right.
I mean, one of our dinner clubs, we did become friendly. But with COVID, we were, raising money to pay restaurants to feed people. So we would work with halal restaurants or Bangladeshi restaurants to feed people in the Bangladeshi community who was particularly hard hit because very often the moms were stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a huge language barrier. A lot of people were first, recent immigrants. And the dads, the husbands were very often car drivers or food cart or restaurant workers. So everybody was out of work. So they were other in terms of, hey, let's go for Bangladeshi food, to now like, no, these are my friends. I am going to the mosque. I'm going to masjids. It's almost like a joke, like, a New York Jewish guy walks into a masjid
Yeah.
for dinner. But now these people are my friends. And you're right, like that is a New York City thing. Like other is gone. I have friends in this community. I have friends in that community. And I am really lucky for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's even for my son, it's so apparent. So just recently he had this, I guess he's in junior high school, so learning about world religions. And in our household, I'm not particularly religious. He doesn't really know that much about Christian religion or Catholicism or anything like that. But they've been going through all the religions. But he knew all these, a lot more information about Islam or being Muslim because one of his coaches, or the head coach where he trained him for years, was Muslim. So he knew what Ramadan was. He knew about fasting. He knew about halal just from like hearing it. So so I'm asking all these questions about, they went through Judaism and Christianity and Islam, and he knew firsthand more information about Islam than the other two. And I'm like, and I had to laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, like this kid knows more about Islam than any other two of the religions, even more than Christianity.
Pretty cool.
And I was like, just from like being exposed to these people.
And considering what's happening in this country, it's also very cool that you think that's a positive rather than a negative.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Well, where else? Where else? I mean, that I always come to one. I was like, in New York City, you're gonna meet millions of different people. I mean, from cultures. It's like they say, it's a boiling pot, of cultures and stuff. Like, how can you be racist? I'm always like, to me, I was like, I appreciate other cultures so much and learning about these other people, what they cook, what they wear, just like custom traditions, all that stuff. I love that. I'm filled with joy when someone tells me something that really means something to them, that's important to their lifestyle, the way they grew up. I accept it all, and I can't sort of fathom how people just are not accepting of that, or just be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't know about those people. I don't like those people.
I mean, not to go down the whole political route, but I think it's because, for me at least, it's like it's really easy to other people, other, even from and like whatever. I'm not going to go down the political rabbit hole, but like my views have evolved the past couple of years. But I realized for a long time I would other people who didn't share the same values than I do, and I realized that's stupid because ultimately, and one of the things that I think I've learned just from talking to people in these conversations, and being friends with people who have complete opposite beliefs than I do about the way the country should, direction should move to. But ultimately, they all want the same thing. And most people want their families to be healthy, their families, if they have children, the kids to be healthy, to be fed, to live a happy life. Most people are not trying to become billionaires or millionaires. They're just trying to have enough money to support their family, to give their family the things that, to give them some happiness and joy. But I think when you see some, I mean, I guess maybe by nature, humans are so tribal that this is my tribe and that's your tribe.
Yep.
So it becomes easy to be like, you know what? Like, all right, if something bad happens to them, well, it means less to me or not important to me because they're different than me. They're an other. And I think that's I think in the past couple of years that has sort of ramped up. And in the past, admittedly, I was guilty of it as well, with my views and othering people. But I realize now is like, I don't want to live like that. And I realize I have to respect people's views. And even if I don't agree with it, and I realize something else, I can't live in my bubble. If I want to really have weigh in on my opinion, I have to listen to everything. good and bad. And then from there, I can say, okay, what do I think? Because I think my views have sort of like before, very left leaning, far left leaning. Now I'm sort of like become this more centrist. I'm sort of landing in the middle. And I think most things land in the middle. Most things are not like this far left or far right. Most people want things land in the middle. It's just common sense. I mean, there's certain things I want for my family. There's certain things I want for my son. Something I want for myself and my, anyone I love and my friends. And what I want doesn't differ that much from what other people want for, who may have completely different political views than me.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy to other people, especially when you don't know them, especially when something seems foreign to you, or when you're not, you don't interact with these people, or you don't act with people who are different than you. And I think that's one of the few things, well, not one of the few things, one of the best things that my son has experienced is that he has friends, or he has had in relationships and friends with people from all different cultures: Middle Eastern, Moroccan, Egyptian, Colombian, Korean, Chinese, black, white, biracial, multiracial. And it's a way for him to realize, oh yeah, there's just other kids I want to play with.
Right.
And that, being an asshole, kids, doesn't matter where you're from. Sometimes people are just assholes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people are really fucking decent, amazing people, and they could be from a completely different culture or completely different, political view or different whatever. I was like, they're just awesome people. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's one of the greatest benefits of being in New York. I think there's some drawbacks, but I think that's one of the best perks of being a New Yorker.
It's true. Well, I mean, the biggest drawback in New York City is not having a backyard.
Oh God.
Right.
Number 2, no parking. No parking spot.
Not to make light of what you just said, but
Yeah.
that was the first thing
Yeah.
that came to mind.
Definitely.
And then back to what you just said. I mean, othering is really the greatest possible way to divide and conquer. I mean,
Agreed.
Othering is, harboring, playing on your fears, scarcity. Those people are taking something away from you.
Exactly.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
You're taking away from me by pointing that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another podcast.
Yeah.
Let's just help each other.
My sister podcast called
Right.
Politics and Shit.
What's wrong with this place?
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking before we went out there? I was thinking if you owned a restaurant and you can sell you sell a type of food, it has to be a mixture of two cultures. What would it be? You go, Jonathan.
Oh my God, that's fucked up.
I don't think
As someone with maybe the most experience.
What?
You don't think you were limited
to?
Okay,
I can't even
for the
imagine.
question, if you had to combine
wait.
two cultures,
Got it. Houston, Texas has this fusion going on of Cajun and Vietnamese.
I've read about this.
That
Okay.
that one has been stuck in my head for years. The idea of an oyster po' boy banh mi sandwich
damn,
with those pickles on it,
oh boy,
because Vietnamese flavors are phenomenal, and so is New Orleans. So
Yeah.
Agreed.
yeah.
nice. Okay,
And that's not even my dream thing, but that's a good example, I think.
that's
You?
funny. For me, it would be probably pretty obvious. It would be a mixture of Puerto Rican and Japanese food. The first thing I thought of mixing was there's a meal called arroz con salchicha, which is just yellow rice with salchichas, Vienna sausages, but in the shape of the onigiri, cooked in the rice cooker.
Oh my God.
That I would love to be able to combine that. It's because you don't use sushi rice for regular Spanish cooking or
Right.
Puerto Rican rice. But I would love to mix those two. That would be the first thing I would make, and then I would have to explore the rest. But there's so many good foods with Japanese food and Puerto Rican food. I would love even imagine an onigiri with a little cuerito, like a little pork on the
yeah.
top.
You
Son.
do realize you're marrying two very
Very
disparate cultures, very heavy.
Yes.
In a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
that with all love.
Yeah.
And a very light and delicate.
yes, that's the balance. So
That's,
there's a lot of experimentation there.
yeah.
Pete,
For me,
what do you think?
so I had this idea years ago, and actually, I just recently I have two ideas. The first one would be a sandwich place, but it will be I kind of equate it to the 7 train, right? So in every stop, and every sandwich would have a different stop. I mean, it would have a different stop. And there were things I thought of like a mixture of like something I thought of doing something called the sloppy Jose, which is like a
Oh
shredded
shit.
shredded chicken mole thing on like some kind of like maybe potato roll, some kind of bread with like like shredded mole with like some cotija cheese on it or some kind of like other cheese on it on a bun. And then I thought of all right, something with like a kimchi with a Texas style brisket or some kind of like smoky fatty meat.
Well, okay, so I got one for you. In Astoria, this guy Ben, I think, opened up a place called Between the Bagel. Do you know this one?
Yes.
Okay.
And yes.
He's famous. He's Korean. Took over a bagel place like January of 2020.
Oh my god, perfect timing.
And they they just started going downhill. And I believe the story is his parents, he's Korean, came in and started cooking, or at least to spend time with him. And then somewhere during COVID, he came up with the it's a everything bagel toasted with egg, cheese, and bulgogi. You know the the ribeye, a little bit of kimchi, maybe those flavors on a bagel. It is a perfect palate fusion dish. That's a good one. And because it's not just fusion, it really works very well together.
It does. Okay.
And he's famous for that dish.
Between the bagel.
Yeah,
okay.
sandwiches. That's a good idea.
Is that place still open?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
He also makes those sort of Korean rice balls, and he likes to tell people, "Oh, I'm going to give you some of my balls. These are Ben's balls."
Well, is it like the arancini ones? But they're like,
Yeah.
Like
But they're kimchi rice.
kimchi fried rice.
Yeah, based. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Kimchi fried rice
shit.
ball.
And I guess the second idea I had was a deli called Copycat. Copycat Deli.
Okay.
And all these, so there's a couple of things that have popped out in New York that I love. Like there's this thing called the Mac Patty, which I think Dad's Deli in Jamaica.
Dad's Deli,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking phenomenal. I mean, like, you eat it and you're like, holy shit, this is like,
What is that though? I never.
it
heard
is a Jamaican beef patty. They stuff it with shredded oxtail, mac and cheese,
And the
then-
oxtail gravy over
and
the
the, and the
top.
gravy, and they put it inside of cocoa bread.
Oh
Now-
shit! So you got me with the cocoa bread.
You can go down. He opened up on Clinton Street
Yep.
in East Village now. So one's deep out in Hollis, Jamaica area, and the other one's right here in the East Village. And it's pretty
interesting.
fantastic.
We were watching a quick 15-minute episode of like Business Insider on YouTube, and it was talking about how oxtail has become so expensive over the years.
Yep.
And then of course that leaned into Japanese curry, oxtail inside Japanese curry over rice.
Yo, that sounds.
It's crazy. I think it was like a Vietnamese dude cooking it. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
I've never cooked oxtail in my life.
Really?
Never.
I went through a phase when I was making oxtail once a week. Where I'd make it on a Sunday. I'm sorry, every 2 weeks. I was making it on like when I was free, make it on a Sunday, and then it was just more like a stew or a broth, and like I'll be like a beef broth with oxtail, and then I would portion it out and things, and throughout the week I would eat the beef broth and the oxtail.
Oh shit.
I've never made oxtail actually.
Really? It's amazing.
It's not cheap.
No,
so I wasn't
no.
using it for catering. And I don't know. I don't know why. I really should. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. Also, Jamaican cowfoot soup.
Yes.
Oh my god.
yeah.
The gelatinous
That
tendony
texture,
goodness.
It's like the same thing as like paticas.
Oh yeah.
That's like
What is that?
It's pig feet.
Pig feet. Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll they'll cook it with in like that red. It's like a tomatoey kind of sauce, but it'll be like the pig feet with tripe, and a lot of times they'll put chickpeas in it, which
That's weird. So it's healthy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's like let's throw a piece of lettuce in it. Just
But yeah, so Copycat, there's a couple places that I love all around the boroughs. One is like certain banh mi's I like.
Yeah.
So I'll do a banh mi, some kind of version of a banh mi. I'll do one like a rip off Cherry Valley in Whitestone. They're Bushman.
What do
You
they
ever
make?
Cherry Valley Deli. So they're a deli that's been around since I was living in Whitestone. When I was like in junior high school, and they have something called the Bushman. It's literally a heart attack on a sandwich. It's chicken cutlets with American cheese, brown gravy, onion rings,
Oh my god.
damn.
and it's on garlic bread.
Oh, you see,
That just
anything on garlic bread though is
And-
fire.
And it is amazing. And
You had me at
sounds-
onion rings.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's So yeah, if I'll just I'll totally rip all my favorite places off and just open a deli. Just
That's funny,
I haven't heard anything really healthy in here.
bro. We're
yeah,
here for
Well,
we're
that's the
here for a
wrong
good
show.
time, not a yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
not
Yeah,
a long time.
Copycat deli,
I'll go.
and just on like all the places that like I love or anything that's kind of crazy. And as shitty as it sounds, anything that goes crazy viral that I try that tastes delicious,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
like, all right, I'll do my version of that.
Yeah.
And we'll start serving that.
That's dope.
Getting
And,
hungry.
and I'm telling you the name, what I'm doing. I'm stealing your shit.
Yeah,
Being honest.
you copyright your copycat thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna copyright my Copycat Deli guy logo.
Oh man,
But that's not really a marriage. This is me trying to think of a way to get all the food I want in one location without having to travel all around the city.
yep. Damn, except you got to make it now though.
Eh.
Well, you have someone to cook
You
it.
know how to
maybe?
cook.
Chef it up. All right,
All right. Well, Jonathan,
it's been fun.
yeah, thank you.
You're
I'm not sure if you want to let all of our millions of you of
Let all the
listeners,
abuelitas, please
Yeah.
let us.
let them know where people can find you. Tell them about where to find Queens Together if they want to donate.
Oh,
If
yeah.
they want to get involved, please.
Yeah, so queenstogether.org. We're a nonprofit. There's a website. It talks a little bit like what we do and what we've done since we started in March 2020. There's a donation link, so the money that you donate supports our food relief programming, and our money goes through local restaurants in Queens to feed people in need in their specific communities. So we support small business restaurants, and we support their communities with food. It's a lot of love. Everyone we work with just gives it their all. So please, check us out and please donate.
Definitely. And you're on Instagram, social media.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, QNS_together, Queens Together, and we're on Instagram. That's it.
Perfect.
Okay.
And at some point, hopefully, I'm gonna maybe try to harangue Jonathan to resurrecting some kind of Queens Dinner Club and
Absolutely.
work with
Yeah,
him
word.
and maybe get like a dad's meetup of some sort going.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea. Will you come out to Queens?
Absolutely.
All right. I mean, we can venture into.
But it has to be before 8 p.m. No.
You're afraid of
only
Queens after dark.
only 2 days a week. No.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that.
Absolutely. I'll go out
Good
there.
idea. And how do we find this podcast online?
Right now, we're not. Well, I guess we'll say it'll be the full dad Bodcast.
Mhm.
We don't have a website yet, but
Okay.
that's in the works.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're still in our infancy.
All right. But at some point, people are going to be listening to this podcast, and they're gonna need to
Absolutely.
know.
We'll have to put the media handles and everything like that out there at that time. But
We'll do it in post. We'll add it in post production.
yeah, in post production.
In post.
I don't see any cameras, so this is not a YouTube channel.
No. There's no
At
cameras
some
here.
point, I mean, I think I have a face for radio, so
It's just you covered with like the mic, just like this,
Right,
covering your whole face.
But
like
I
technically, I'm here.
Right.
in time I like to do video, but I think
Yeah.
as we grow, and at some point I think maybe get an official some kind of studio.
Yeah, outside of my studio apartment.
This is pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is good. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of I think the audio is even bouncing off, all these, these items that I have in here. So it's nice and cozy. There's no echo. It's not the most professional, but it's not what we're looking for,
It's
anyways.
great.
Getting it done.
It's the real shit, yo.
The real
Holla at
real
your
ones,
boy.
my guy.
Real dads.
Real dads,
The
yo.
Real Dad Network.
Yeah.
All right. Once again, to all our potential viewers,
Viewers, our listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
we thank you. Once again, this is the Full Dad Podcast. I'm Bryan.
and I'm Pete.
And I'm Jonathan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Jonathan.
Thank you guys. Take care. Be well.
Peace out. Peace.